All right, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to Between Two Bellsprouts, the show where we, my Bellsprouts and I, and our guest, discuss whatever's going on in the world of Pokemon Go PvP, good, bad, or indifferent, and talk to the people who are making news in our community. We are joined today by PKMNTriggerPls and DarthKyloRyan. I don't know if or DarthKyloRyan rather. I don't know that we whether we have Ryan on the line yet. I do not believe we do. He should be joining us later. They both were the South qualifiers for the Turkey Tourney draft format that will be coming up later. We will be talking about that. It was a March format that Alyssa and I each were part of running. So that was part of yesterday for me. That was good time. Everything went smoothly. Um, let's see how is everybody's community day today? Obviously, it was the first of two, and a little bit different kind of format for things. Nobody was super excited for the move, and I heard a lot of talk that they took it a little more casually. I know Alyssa had a tweet that involved drinks. So
Always.
we can start with you. How did your community day go, and how much of that had anything to do with Pokemon?
It was a lot of fun, and I had a really good day with my friends, and caught not like a ton of shinies. I feel like everybody got more than I did. I think I ended with like 27, and everybody else I was with had more like 40 or 50, which is annoying, but it's
Wow.
okay because I only really needed like two or three.
Yeah, I started deleting them as I was catching them. I've stopped the thing where I just hoard them all. I'm just kind of like, this happens every time, and then by the time the next community day comes around, I'm looking through them, I'm deleting them. If they're low CP and they have no hope of being good for PvP, they're getting scrapped right away.
It was good though. We walked around a lot and had a really good lunch and had some margaritas and caught some Pokemon. But at this point, I think community days for me are more about my friendships than really the mediocre Pokemon.
certainly,
Maybe we'll get a
certainly.
good one soon.
I was gonna say this one makes it really easy to see that, and I think
Hmm.
that's always been my opinion, but it's definitely true on a day like this. I was not so lucky as to really have a whole lot going on. Um, basically, my weather was probably not what your weather was. Did you have some nice weather at least?
Oh, yeah, it was super nice out. I think it was like 65, 70, and sunny.
Oh, that would have been amazing. We were dealing with like 40s and the kind of wind that takes every last remaining fall leaf off the trees so that there's nothing left. So it was not particularly walkable, which is not a great start to a community day. I know that Ethan's also probably lucky enough to have had better weather, but I think he also did not do a whole lot with community day today. Is that right?
Yeah, I really didn't care about today. Um, but also I had family over from up north. They came to visit, so that was super cool. So I did have something. I was fortunate enough to have something to do instead of catch Electabuzz. But I I did I did want to get a good shiny because I like Electivire shiny a lot more than I like Magmortar shiny.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, it's whatever. I guess Magmar Community Day is gonna be um just a lot more boring. But
How
for
dare
me
you?
personally,
How dare you defame a
the riot.
off-stream meme here? I just
My
can't see
bad.
how you would do that. But
I'm
you're
sorry.
entitled to your opinion, even if it's wrong.
That's my opinion. Yeah,
Um,
it's okay.
so and Pokemon Trigger, please welcome to the show. And you said you were from roundabout Saratoga-ish, and that I'm assuming your weather was also cooperative.
Oh, very, very hot.
Oh, very hot. Oh man, I can't even
Yeah.
imagine.
It was nice though. I did a little lap around the local park and was able to nab a few shinies. It took me a bit to get the first one, which is kind of funny because I wasn't excited about this one either, really. Um, it is going to be exciting to have it in the wild though afterwards. I only got 7, but that's all I need.
Yeah, I should check my count. I honestly don't know, but it just stopped being important after a while. For me, I literally stayed up too late, woke up, caught a couple shinies from bed, went back to sleep, and then got a late start on it because I just couldn't be bothered. I had as much fun with it as I could, but the weather was not cooperating, and I was sleep deprived. So yeah, there were definitely a ton of them. Flamethrower to me, I know people are complaining about the move. That's not a move that has gotten any adjustments yet, right? I mean, just like Ancient Power when it was on Swinub Community Day, everybody talked about how useless it was, and frankly, in the context of Swinub or Mamoswine, it largely was useless. But Ancient Power was obviously good enough that it had to be nerfed. So I'm wondering whether we're going to just get to reap the benefits of a nice casual community day and everybody can just kind of take away from it what they will and just be like, oh, it wasn't a big deal, or if we're actually going to later on, folks like Ethan are going to be like, oh, why didn't I evolve a bunch of those and so forth. It's really annoying, the constant state of FOMO that we live in this game, but it's really kind of the first place that my head instantly goes whenever I see a move like that that's uninspired. Anybody think that the move is actually going to be useful in the short term, or do you think it's going to require some sort of adjustment?
To be honest, I'm actually surprised more people weren't that excited for it. I kind of thought it would be more useful against Venusaur. I guess Ice Punch is all you need, but I thought Flamethrower would be like almost one-shotting one in Ultra League.
That's true. I have not checked the sims on that, but I guess that would be a very relevant thing to check. Of course, you'd be giving up plenty against flyers and such, but it's something to consider. I know that anybody who's spent much time with typings and all that, people who've thought about it way more than I have, always talk about the nearly perfect coverage of bolt beam, if you will, like ice and electric, that's just kind of what you want in an ideal world. So I think that everybody's approaching it from that standpoint, that you're not really going to improve it except in some very niche circumstances. But didn't stop me from evolving a bunch, and probably will hoard way more than I should. But yeah, it was okay. The shiny rate definitely, as you guys said, was pretty high. Went through some spurts where I'd catch like 3 in a minute or whatever, and it was a little bit absurd. But
high for you guys, I guess.
Well,
I don't feel like I got a ton.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I don't think that it was necessarily. I don't think it was necessarily that different than some of the other ones. I feel like because it's slightly, I think that even after the adjustments to the catch rate, it was probably slightly more difficult to catch than some of the things that we've had for community days, like in Abra. And so you didn't necessarily have as many encounters, and I was not fast catching, and I was struggling with storage. So I think that if I'd been playing it like the same style as I normally play it, I feel like the rates would have been just the same. Like I wasn't putting the effort in. I mean, honestly, they'll tell you, the shiny rate you get, it certainly can be bad RNG, but a lot of the times it just tends to be just the result of exactly how you play. And if you play like Jiggly and you hoard and you've got like 20 slots to start community day and you're transferring them one at a time, then you're not going to get a ton, and that's just the way it is. I didn't have the Go Plus on for most of it. It was very strange. And you said you did have the Go Plus on or a gotcha or something, Ethan?
Oh yeah, I use my my Go Plus for a lot of it. What I wanted to say was that I think that the move is interesting because it leaves the way, or it paves the way rather, for possibly adding status effects
Right.
into the game. So if
status
they
effects in terms of real status effects like burn and
like
stuff.
burn,
Okay.
yeah, freeze, because flamethrower has that effect. It's like a 10% chance or something, right? Like status, or the status changes from null to burn. So I mean, they've added megas to the game, so maybe they will somehow find a way to add status effects. If they do, that would be kind of crazy. I don't know how it would work because we're tapping the screen. Maybe we'd have to like while we're tapping, maybe we'd have to like blow, or like, I don't know, like that would be so weird.
Yeah.
or like push things away, like brush things off the screen. I don't know.
I think people did discuss the possibility, that it would be like something to do with the way that Wizards Unite works or something. And I've never seen it, but maybe some of the kinds of different patterns or ways that you wave a wand could be like a way that you have to get rid of a status effect, or I don't know. It would probably be a nightmare for somebody like me who is constantly missing bubbles because we're not nearly as precise as Ethan with his crazy
No, I'm not
swiping
precise. I'm not. Oh my gosh, not precise. But yeah, I think they would be interesting. It would definitely add a level of difficulty to the game, so that would be cool. And it would give, huh?
No, I was gonna say I'm all for anything that adds a skill gap,
Yeah.
and something interesting to do. But I just, every time I think about it, I come back to the same thing that a lot of people do, which is I think that the game is just too fast paced for status effects to actually make sense. Could you imagine? Like, this isn't their main concern because they don't particularly care about third parties, but imagine like a Sylph person trying to arbitrate a dispute where you actually had to figure out whether the person properly got rid of the status effect and it didn't clear, and whether it affected the outcome. I mean, oh god,
I'm gonna cast my vote for a no for this because that sounds like a nightmare.
Well, that's the only thing I can see happening with this, though. Unless they're not traditional, which that could be the case, and they like make it like a attack buff or something. I don't know, or like a attack debuff. I don't know. They just give us something random. It's just like, okay, this is the only thing that works.
Yeah, to me,
maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe. Oh no, sorry. I just came up with an idea. Didn't mean to interject. But maybe it'd be like attack buff, because then it's like in place of the burn, you're doing additional damage. I don't.
Yeah, it seems to me like most of the time, instead of doing actual status effects, they're just replacing it with stat buffs and debuffs, and that's pretty much what they've settled on. So it could be a thing. Now, why do you think it getting that for a community day move clears the way for it specifically? Is it because it's kind of got access to other ones like Wild Charge already, and it can do that, and you could mix it up, or is it just because there's something in main series that I'm not aware of that?
Oh no! It was just like me thinking ahead of time a little bit and trying to like see their reasoning behind this, because they must have a reason. I mean, I'm sure Niantic has a reason, right?
Is the reason
I'm sure
to give us FOMO and get more money out of us? Probably.
No, never. But yeah, I think that I think it could be interesting if they do add like attack buff, because then it, like you said, it has a wild charge, and it would have flamethrower with the possible attack buff, so you could use it like both ways, like coverage. You could use it both ways. It's interesting. I don't know, because if you run like flamethrower and ice punch, then you don't kill with the flamethrower, but if you get the attack buff, you kill with the ice punch. But you kill with the ice punch anyways, so it's like, I don't.
I mean, it doesn't sound too far-fetched, honestly, because of the way they've implemented a lot of other stuff. Certain mons that used to be very straightforward to play, or now like you have to do like the move stacking and all that, and it definitely adds some nuance. I can't say that it's my favorite way to play, but it definitely adds nuance to the game. So I guess there's that.
Yeah.
So Pokemon Trigger, please. So you took part in, I guess it was Alyssa's South Regional of the Turkey Tourney over the weekend on Saturday, which was in the Marsh format. And did you have one loss in that, I assume?
Yes, I actually lost to Kylo.
That's what I thought. Okay, I just had to go back and check. So what was the team you were running? Have you done more than one Marsh already and settled on a team, or is it just the one you used for this team or for this tournament?
That was actually my first Marsh.
Okay.
I was very excited for it until I realized I had a very big weakness to Alolan Marowak, aka the thing on everyone's team.
Right.
So my team was Purified Sableye, Galvantula, Shiftry, Wormadam, Alolan Muck, and Dugong. I mean, you hear that I have two darks, but I was like terrified to lead Spider or Wormadam, because I was like, I know everyone's going to be leading Alolan Marowak, but nobody did, like, ever. I was very surprised.
Had you done much testing on the team, or had you just kind of put it together and this just happened to be the first one you did?
I was fairly comfortable with a lot of the Pokemon. I use Wormadam a lot. I knew Shiftry was definitely safe. I did not do any practice Marsh, though, ahead of time. I got fairly lucky with a lot of the matchups. I mean, a lot of them you should know from Go Battle League, like between Galvantula and Shiftry. If you run one of them, you know how the matchup goes.
Right.
Especially if you're meeting up with the other guy. But yeah, it came down to the wire for a lot of the fights. Definitely like one fast move. I know one of the best matchups I had was one where I beat them with firing a discharge on a Alolan Marowak, and I had 1 HP left.
Nice.
And it would have been over if he got one extra fire spin in. Oh my gosh.
That's kind of the way this game works, it seems. As long as there's no lag or disputes involved, you look at it as excitement. If something goes wrong, then you get frustrated by it. We didn't have any disputes, I don't think. Were you guys dispute free in the South as well, Alyssa?
Kind of, not really.
Not
There
really.
were 2 rematch situations, but we're so friendly here in the South that they were handled without even needing a TO. Like the people who were on the other side of the lag were like, hey, I saw you lagged. Do you want to go ahead and rematch that? Twice, 2 different people. So
I
proud of
actually had
everybody.
one myself in my own match. I had a match where Galvantula switched in, but the screen showed Ferrothorn, and the Ferrothorn threw a lunge, and I was just like, what just happened here? I still actually didn't think it mattered, but my opponent was once again kind enough to just be like, let's just replay it. So we didn't even need to go through that. So I know that's something that I've heard a lot of recently, and I would love to think of ways to work on this dynamic, but I think a lot of people, it really comes down to the simple reason they don't want to do a lot of Sylph is because it gives them anxiety to think about disputes. We look at it kind of from like Ethan's perspective, where he says he just doesn't dispute, and you look at it from like my perspective or Alyssa's perspective, where it's just kind of like, if we're running a tournament, the last thing we want to do is, have to look at somebody's recording and then have to decide like who's going to be the winner, and then the other person's usually going to be unhappy about it. Some people take it better than others, so it really does kind of raise the anxiety level, and it would be amazing if we could come up with a way to get around that. But I think it's just kind of the human element of the game. But it really,
I think it boils down to just like be a good person,
Right.
and remember that the people who are deliberating on this are humans.
Right.
And you should not go around treating anybody like crap. Like, people have said super nasty stuff to me. I mean, it's first of all, it's a really quick way to get me to never let you do an ARPV tournament again. Because if you're shitty to me, then you're done.
Mhm.
And yeah, just, I don't know, just don't be a dick. That's it. It's so easy to just not be a dick.
Right. I kind of feel like I don't want to say the people who are sitting out now. I think they fall into two categories. I think the people who are sitting out are the people who've been overly frustrated by people being difficult with them. And I think maybe some of the difficult people are starting to sit out because they know that they're not welcome or something to that effect, because it really did feel like we had fairly good cooperation for an event like this. And I've really not seen a ton of disputes recently compared to what maybe we saw, you know, back when the pandemic was starting or when we had like regionals and that kind of stuff. I feel like people are a little bit more mellow, but I don't think it's because we're actually more mellow. I think it's because people are just like, I'm either quitting because you drove me crazy, or I'm quitting because like I know I'm a jerk or something. I don't know. It's a very strange dynamic, and I wish that we could work through it a little bit better without people feeling like they had to just sit out entirely, because I think that's unfortunate. But it was a great event, and appreciate being involved in that. And so when you chose to be in this tournament, Pokemon Trigger Please, did you just kind of say, oh, here's a bigger tournament that's going on this Saturday, it fits my schedule? Did you actually like look at what was going on? Did you know that if you won you were gonna be involved in like a draft phase? Was that something that appealed to you, or were you just kind of like, I just need to get a marsh in, and the rest of it I'll just deal with later?
Honestly, the main thing that made me want to do it was seeing that I was gonna get a print. To be honest, I did not win the print, sadly, but it was a very fun tournament. I didn't know about the draft, so I'm actually excited for that too. I found out about that after starting the tournament. I was excited to just battle against some of the other really strong trainers in the South and just kind of, you know, get my name out there some more. I've done a lot of bigger tournaments. I really like showing up at regionals, especially because of that, because you find out who the really strong trainers are. I'm just happy to push forward and kind of represent the South and hopefully do well for them.
I mean, I have to root for my Midwestern folks, but you know, I'm not gonna root against you. So
DU Fishy was in yours, right?
Yeah, Do Fishy and Abinav were the two that we are sending out. And
he's a good friend of mine.
A good friend of yours? Awesome.
Yeah.
So with regard to the draft stuff, have you done draft tournaments before? Do you have much experience? Oh, now have you put much thought into it? Are you thinking about it now, or you're just kind of like, oh, I want to represent well, now I got to think about how this works, or are you just going to kind of wing it?
There's a lot of Pokemon I don't want to see, so I'm mostly thinking of the bands. I'm not going to lie. I'm not exactly thinking of the team right now.
Nice. So you're thinking more kind of loose play style kind of stuff, where you're just like, what stuff do I like to play? And then on the other hand, like, you know, what stuff is going to give me nightmares if I see it on another team and I just don't want to see it?
I don't like to think of myself super calculated.
Right.
I kind of just throw stuff together and I'm like, oh, hey, that really works. Thank you, brain. Which I don't want that to sound bad, but like, I feel like I trust my gut a lot of the time. It knows what it wants to play.
Right.
I know that there's too many times I've switched things and I've regretted it, and I don't like doing that.
Well, I think that it's funny because it's always been a thing since it came out, and it continues to be a thing that people will say PV Poke tells you some of the story, but it doesn't tell you the whole story. And it's like, it's such a good tool in terms of explaining to you individual matchups if played all the way out. But since that's not how it works, and since there's always little nuances in the game that are changing or just are a little bit harder to explain, so I think some people actually dig down and they figure out the math of the things that they're seeing and experiencing, and other people just kind of have an intuitive feel where they're just kind of like, this doesn't feel right when I play this, like I run into this situation, or I run energy dry on this mon even though I don't understand exactly why. And so I think that there is something to be said for that sense of feel. It's not something so cheesy as just like, you know, somebody who in sports terms would have like, oh, they think they have a baseball mind or something, whatever. It's like it comes with experience and feel, and it's just really part of practice. And there's just those certain things that you cannot simulate or really put into words all the time. So it's just I understand what you were saying. So without revealing, I guess it's really hard to ask too many questions about the draft, because one, you never know how it's going to unfold, and two, like I would hate to put anybody at a disadvantage by revealing what they like. So now that you have taken down this Marsh tournament, I assume you weighted it. It seems like that would go without saying. Are you planning on trying to ride out this team the rest of the way, or are you somebody who likes to mix it up and just like run fun different teams each time to see how they work, or really keep up on the meta developments?
I'm not a big fan of doing the spicier choices. There are a few that I throw in here and there, but I guess that would be Wormingham this time. But yeah, I'm definitely going to cover my bases more in the next one, because I do think a lot of it came down to winning the lead. Like, I didn't have a safe switch a lot of the time. A lot of the teams just, if they caught the lead, I would have not had a chance at coming back, no matter how well I played. Yeah, especially with the Alolan Marowak. I was terrified of that thing the whole time.
I think the strangest thing with Alolan Marowak to me is just with the recent release of Shadowbone and people's varying opinions on whether you should run Shadowbone or Shadow Ball, and the difficulty of getting a good IV one that came from a raid, just like the pure variety of Marowak you're going to see, whether you're looking at it from just like a feel standpoint or from a math standpoint, it's just like such little changes could really swing that matchup in some of the neutral situations. So I know I didn't like it either. You're not only dealing with that Bone Club bait situation that you pretty much always have, where you just have to intuit whether they're playing it straightforward or whether they're trying to like next level think you, and then on top of that, not knowing which move they have the first time is definitely another dynamic. So it's crazy with Alolan Marowak, honestly. So with regard to that, what is your general kind of play style with Pokemon Go PvP? Are you primarily a Sylph person? Are you also a GBL person? Do you treat one more seriously than the other?
I treat GBL a lot more serious. Oh, sorry, Sylph. I'm super scatterbrained.
That's all right.
I had to just kick you off right now.
Yeah,
I'm joking. Don't look at me like that, Ethan. I saw that.
It's okay, Trigger. You're not alone. I'm kidding.
Oh, no.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I've always been very Sylph-oriented. At the beginning, though, I would always look at Sylph like, oh, look at this guy trying to come out of nowhere and control the PvP scene. But they've been doing a really good job. I've been really impressed. I really like how they handle the ranking. There isn't really too many people that abuse the way they do ranking. I've heard of some funny stories like where people have like a 5-minute tournament and conclude it in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
But they usually find that out like very soon.
Right.
Yeah, I've been very, I don't know, hardworking, I guess, to try and get the best rank I can get in those. Because I like to be known as a good trainer there. Go Battle League, you just kind of match up with people randomly. So if somebody sees you with like a good rank next to your name, that's a little bit different to me than seeing on like everybody sees a tournament out of like however many people join. So they'll see how well you stacked up against everybody, especially if you win.
Right. Did you have an active PvP scene locally before things went so heavily remote or entirely remote?
For a little bit we did. It's kind of died down a little bit. I really want to try joining the Orlando scene after COVID and stuff goes away. I am a part of a lot of their discords just to see what's going on. But yeah, we like barely have PvP tournaments where I'm at right now. So I try not to push them too much.
Right. Did you said that you wanted to represent the South, and obviously, you know, there's no reason not to say that, but I mean, I don't know how important it was to you. Do you feel like there's a difference now that everything is so heavily online, where it's just kind of a one giant community, and you don't have that same sort of vibe you were describing, where it's just kind of like you have regionals, and then the regionals folks don't necessarily know much about the people that they're going up against after that, except by reputation and rank. And now it's more like everybody kind of just commingles, and a lot of the top trainers kind of find each other in bigger tournaments anyway.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of my friends that I just really want to make happy, you know? I really want Speediest Chief to see me as the optimal trainer I am.
Oh,
I try so hard. Not just for him, but for me too. But yeah, there's a lot of other people. DU Fishy, he's a really good friend of mine. He's actually in my BC he's in the same group I'm in for Go Stadium, which is hilarious to me, because right. We always seem to pair up in like tournaments outside of Go Battle League or outside of Sylph, which is hilarious to me.
Are you telling me that there's an algorithm in GBL or in Sylph, not just GBL?
We'll definitely see. I'm really nervous we're gonna get paired up right away, and we're gonna have to take someone down, and it's not gonna be a tie. Oh no, he knows me so well.
I know that the finals are going on in, I guess, 2 weeks on the 28th. And are you guys? Is it the day before you guys are drafting, or have they not even explained that to you yet?
To my understanding, we're doing the draft the 22nd, and then we're recording the battles, which I'm assuming they're streaming all of them.
Probably.
Yeah. To my understanding, they're streaming kind of like the same way they did for Worlds,
right.
Which is interesting to me. I do like that.
Yeah, it is a good way to do it, both from doing it on Worlds, and then we did something similar with the AR PvP stuff. It makes for a much smoother experience when you have the battles pre-recorded, and you just don't let the audience in on the outcome until after the fact. It's much more entertaining, I think, rather than sitting around and waiting for rematches and lag and people to pick their teams. And nobody wants to see that.
No.
So what do you think that you have you been playing much in the way of GBL, or is it not something that I guess we can segue into that. You were saying that you were noticing a lot of the conversation on I'm assuming Twitter, but just in general, about the approach people are taking toward rank 10 this season as opposed to previous seasons. I think we can all acknowledge it's different. What is your perspective on what rank 10 means, what it means now, what it meant then, and does it matter to you?
I mean, personally, I've never hit rank 10, so I was really looking forward to it. It's kind of crazy to see how many people are just like telling people, oh, come get your participation ribbon, which is just insane to me. It's definitely going to be really nice to earn it. I'm very interested to see how the next season goes, since they're going above and beyond past rank 10 now, which is crazy to me. But yeah, I can't believe how many people are just like trying to bring people down, like for getting 10.
Right.
Like you think they'd be like, okay, well, get it next time too, or like something. I guess that's more threatening though.
I think that this community struggles with elitism a lot, and we're seeing that right now. All of the people who have hit rank 10, like it's no big deal the past few seasons, are a little bit effed up about it, because now all of us lesser folks are hitting 10, and they don't like that because it doesn't make them feel as special. And so I said what I said. I was supposed to be happy this episode. You told me.
I did tell you to be happy. I think that you should be happy after that. I'd say mic drop after that. No, that's true. That's very true. It's a combination of elitism and if you're coming from my perspective, like rank 10 just didn't mean a whole lot in the first place. I mean, it didn't mean nothing, but I mean, it's just kind of like it was a pretty crude metric, and it really had a lot more to do with, I almost felt like it had the most to do with how up on the meta you really kept yourself, which was almost just like how much can you sit there and digest other people's streams and figure out where the meta is. And like, I don't know. I don't think that that's a true measure of a battler, if you ask me. A battler should not have to devote like hours of their day just to figure out like where the meta's at, to adjust their team. And I feel like it measures something, and it does measure some quality of battles, and a lot of the same people do make it to the top, but it's just kind of a weird dynamic to me. So
I just don't get how it takes away from someone else.
No.
Like somebody else reaching 10. It does not devalue that other person's 10. Congratulations, you got your little pose, you have your Pikachu, everyone's happy now. Just say congratulations and move on with your day.
I wish I got a pose this season. Oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah, there's
I didn't mean us. I meant the elite people.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've never been a fan of the blind formats. It's almost luck based a lot of the time, but I mean, like there's so many people that can come back from a bad lead. I mean, Ethan was saying his seal is evil and can win against so much.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I love my seal. Apparently my attack breakpoint seal too. I don't know. I think it has an attack breakpoint. But okay, so I want to chime in on this because as someone that has hit rank 10, rank 10.
Quote. You did hit air 10.
I honestly think it's awesome that people are getting Libres this season. I think it's amazing. I think that not only is it getting people to play GBL, which I mean isn't like the main goal. I think Sylph is super important too, and you should definitely check out Sylph if you're into non-blind formats, which can get really boring over long periods of time. I've personally, I really miss the in-person tournaments, and that's why I've kind of taken a break a little bit from Sylph. But I definitely recommend it as a format of battling. But as someone that's hit rank 10 and then seeing all of those people that hit it every season or are just so like caught up with the number, I'll say it again, like this past season I tried really, really hard to hit rank 10, and I pushed myself harder than I pushed myself any other season, I'm pretty sure. And like I didn't make it, and like it wasn't the end of the world because I changed my mindset on it. Like it's not like the number shouldn't define you. Numbers in general shouldn't define you. It should be, who you are, not only as a battler, but as a person that defines who you are. and it just it's not all about the battles and the Pokemon and whatnot, like the rank. It's about having fun. And why would you say something like, here's your participation badge to someone that's having fun? Like, honestly, it sounds stupid. I'm gonna come out and say it right now. Like, it's really immature and stupid. So like, you're telling people that are having fun anyways, like basically like screw off, you're not a real rank 10, but they're just having fun and they don't care what you have to say anyways, so it's like why even say anything? So like it's it's just unreal to me sometimes how serious people take this game. That comes with any game, but um like I think it just with this game, being that it's really community oriented, it just causes more problems in that department, because the people that are always on top form these little tight knit communities, and they're not at all really constructive. They just kind of like you know
Ethan's
backstab and
defining
like
a click right now.
yeah, click. That's it. Thank you. That's the word. Thank you. I was reaching. Thank you. Thank you for that. But yeah, they form these cliques and they're not at all constructive. And like you can definitely it shows when they do these things on Twitter. It really does show. So like all I have to say to that is just be better. Ignore those people. Block out the haters. Block them out with spoons. Whatever you want.
Spoons?
Grab your
What do the
spoons.
spoons do? Is this
I
something
don't
I don't know?
know.
Is this like a Kadabra
It's
thing, or Alakazam
no.
with the spoons?
No, I don't know. I thought that was like a meme a while ago, but I don't know. Just block them out. Like they sure like I don't know, rank 10 is just wins this season, and like you may not. Okay, so the main thing is also don't think that you're any less because it's just wins, because that takes dedication too. Okay, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a number, if it's wins, whatever they choose the format to be. It takes dedication, it takes practice, it takes playing the game an absurd amount of time. It takes an absurd amount of time that you know people would question us for why we spend this amount of time playing this game that doesn't even work half the time. But yeah, we only understand because we have these tight knit communities, not the cliques. We have the tight knit communities that help to reinforce and build each other up. So, my message to everyone out there who thinks their rank 10 is nothing but participation, you're awesome. You don't need a number to tell you that you're awesome, and I believe in you. Good night.
Looks like we are joined by DarthKyloRyan. Welcome in.
Hello, everyone.
And I
Hello.
understand that you were the nail in the coffin for Mr. PKMNTriggerPls here, who gets to represent the South but can't walk away with an undefeated record. Is that right?
Yeah, my bad on that. I didn't realize that was your 10 times.
Oh, my pleasure, man. It's definitely a lot better for me, the fact knowing you're another Florida boy.
Yeah.
Oh man, so you guys did not know each other, but you're both from Florida. I take it from a different part of Florida?
Yeah, I'm more central based.
And what team did you run? Did you run a fairly meta team? I have to look back. Don't have it at my fingertips.
I was, let me see if I can bring it up real quick because I don't remember off the top of my head. It was, if my browser reload, Sableye, Beedrill, Shiftry, Marowak, Ludicolo, Swampert.
Ludicolo, all right. I'm trying to think where if I've seen many Ludicolo in this meta. It feels like it hasn't been a major one. Is that something you used heavily, or was it more of bench pressure?
I had a couple matches where it actually became like the best lead I could do, because it will either get both shields or it gets one shield and gets to kill whatever's pretty much out there because energy ball. But I mostly used shift resable. I think that was my main core for 90% of my battles.
And I know that this was Pokemon Trigger Please's first Marsh Cup. Have you done multiple before this, or was this yours first as well?
This was the third one on my card. I'm in, I think, 3 different 7-rounders right now.
Oh wow! And did you wait this one, or the 7-rounders? You're gonna wait one of those because it's gonna be worth one.
Gonna wait one of those.
On this one, did you give any thought beforehand on the draft aspect of it, or was it just kind of this is a marsh I can do, and think about the rest of it later if I get there?
It was a marsh I can do, and then if I happen to get there, then think about drafting.
And what's your comfort level with draft format? Have you done them before? Do you feel like you know what you're doing in that, or no?
I've done a couple. I've done a few drafts. I mostly, when it comes to draft, I draft Ludicolo.
Do you just have an exceptionally good Ludicolo, or are you a Ludicolo fan? It fits your play style. What's it about Ludicolo?
I've used Ludicolo in any meta that he's actually allowed in since Jungle Cup Season 1.
Wow. And
so,
what first sold you on Ludicolo?
Because it was so far, like, just off base that what is anybody really going to do against a Ludicolo?
And if you're looking back that far, I guess what Energy Ball did not have the buff at that point, right?
Energy Ball wasn't even in Ludi's moveset at that point.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't even in the moveset. So at that point in time, you generally made the switch, or do you make the call on a meta by meta basis which moveset you're going to run on that?
It's a meta by meta basis. It's mostly, for me, I use Bubble.
Yeah, I don't think too many people use Razor Leaf anymore unless they're really, really trying to meme.
Yeah.
I mean, it could catch a lot of people off guard for sure.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you play it right, it catches a lot of people off guard, but you have to, you're kind of playing with it's like a one-shot kind of deal. Like a lot of other Razor Leafers, it's more like a ace up your sleeve as opposed to something you can run 3 times usually.
Yeah.
So with regard to that, hopefully you're not regretting the fact that you've revealed Ludicolo, because we do have bans in this draft, and what will you do if somebody bans Ludicolo? Will you take that as a personal affront, or no?
No. I mean, with how much in Great League meta is at the top, I don't see a Ludicolo ban. I'd be surprised if there was one. Now that I say that, I feel like there's going to be one.
Right. You've put it out there. You put it out there in the world.
People out to get you now.
Yeah, probably.
Payback. No.
Oh man, I was saying just last night, I was really frustrated because I caught a 98% level 33 wild Lotad in my neighborhood, and I was just like, I was inches away from having one for Ultra League, and I really want to play around with that. How much are you a Sylph-leaning person, or do you also do a whole lot of the other stuff as well, like GBLs?
I'm more Sylph. GBL is just too blind pickish for me. Like, I understand how some people like it and they enjoy it, but I can have sets running one team go 5-0, run the same team the next set and go 0-5, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Right. Yeah. To me, the biggest frustration is, especially when you're at low elos like I am, so often I've experienced the fact that, like, the little they'll call them micro metas. The micro meta changes from just like that one little whatever, you gain 100 100 points in a round by going 5-0, and then you're just like, oh, now I'm playing with people who play like this. But by the time you make that adjustment, like, you're already knocked back down, and it's just like,
Yeah.
that part frustrates me more than anything. Like, if it were a case where I were playing a consistent group of people and I were just sitting there and I were reacting to what they were doing collectively in the meta, I would feel a lot differently than if I just kind of felt like I was playing the lottery. It feels a little silly down where I play.
Yeah, I get to rank 9 because I don't do Ultra or Master because I'm horrible at saving Stardust. So I would never get the Stardust to put into Ultra or Master, even though I have a bunch of Ultra Mons that are like top percentile. I just never have the Stardust to get them up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I think it's worth looking back at, we were starting to kind of get into the conversation of GBL rank 10s and how people look at it and the like. But I think that, to me, this season is kind of like the bookend on the first chapter, if you will, of GBL, and whatever comes next is probably going to be effectively like chapter 2. It'll be like they'll be starting over. There'll probably be a new reward. I'm guessing Pikachu Libre will either be nothing at all, or it'll be like a lower level, like it just won't be as big a deal, and they'll have something else that we're chasing, and they'll probably make it hard again, and then we'll go through a progression. But one of the things I think is good is that for people who are interested and into it, I feel like GBL has developed kind of the Ultra and Master League parts of PvP to the point where like they're somewhat more interesting and viable than they used to be, because it used to just be people would be kind of like, well, I'm just going to play with what I've got, and what they have was usually like raid counters and not actually PvP viable stuff. So it's given people incentive to do that, but there's still, I think, a divide, and I think part of it has to do with priorities, but part of it I think just has to do with probably spending money on the game, how much you can grind the game. And you say you can't save Stardust, but I mean, some of the stuff you have to build for Master and Ultra League, honestly, it's not about saving Stardust. Like, you have to just flat out get a certain amount of Stardust, or you just can't build the whole meta team, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say, one of my biggest gripes with GBL in general is just the fact that you have to spend so many resources on these Pokemon, and then the meta shifts, and then you've spent all this dust, and then you're like, well, all right, that's awesome. I'm gonna keep using this now. I'm just gonna spit in the face of the meta, and I'm just gonna keep using this because I just powered this up. So that's like one of the biggest problems I have with GBL, and I think that's what's preventing a lot of people from hitting rank 10. Just flat out not having resources. So there, I said it. Yep.
Everything now is going to be a mic drop moment for Alyssa and Ethan. Like, if they say something, there, I said it. It's got to be controversial. Everything you guys are saying.
Yeah, definitely. This is mic drop Sunday. Yeah.
The one thing that I'm kind of given some thought to, which I hadn't before, was, do you think that there will be a crowd of people who are turned off by this last season, not in the sense that it was too easy, but in the sense that somehow they're not going to get rank 10 still because they were not willing to invest in a Bronzor or a Dano, and they didn't really think it was worth their time? Or I don't know, like, it's so early in the season, right? Even though it's a short season, people still have Kanto and this crazy catch cup thing that is rather controversial. But I feel like anybody who's really going to try is going to get it this time, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it feels like, if nothing else, if it took less than a week for a lot of people to do it in Little Cup, that Kanto Cup is pretty much, it's so accessible. Like, I can't think of any barrier to somebody not getting a raw win total if this is something that they're into. So I don't know. It would be sad to think that there would be some people who just flat out didn't get it when they were trying, and I don't know. I also don't want to be quote elitist on that level and say like everybody has to get it, but I would be. It would really stink if you looked back and like somebody fell just short because they were new to the game and they just didn't have the dust to do it.
I do think it's interesting that they specifically made 2 metas where you had to spend your Stardust this time.
Yeah.
The Catch Cup and the Little Cup. Well, I'm sure some people do Little Cup. I just don't think it's a majority of the players. I mean, the GBL players definitely didn't use 500 CP Pokemon in Great League. And I can't say the Sylph people do too much either. I have heard of people doing their own little cups before, though.
Right. So that's another angle as well, as far as what do you guys think that we can kind of extrapolate from this? If we, I don't know if any of you disagree with my premise that this is pretty much like the end of chapter 1 and that we're almost certainly going to see like a reset of sorts. So if we took that as a given, what do we expect to see for season 2? Because one of my working theories is that maybe this 500 CP level is just going to be something that they just throw in as a 4th level, that they're just going to be like, if this is kind of your jam and you want to sit down there at 500 CP, then we'll throw that in there as an option. It'll be, you know, instead of Great League, it'll just be like Little League or whatever. So anybody else have any ideas on what you think might come if from this sort of trend line that they're following?
I don't know if they do a Little League. What I feel like they may do, since they did it with the Halloween Cup and they've been doing more cups, they may do like Generation Cups like they have with Kanto each season. And they just go down the generational line.
Right.
And then they could get to a certain point, because Niantic still hasn't released Gen 6 yet. They could get to that point and then release the Gen 6 starters.
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think that would be, man, that would take a while though, because didn't we see Gen 6 starters in the original Go Fest promos? I thought, I feel like we saw Gen 6 starters that we haven't gotten yet, and that I would have thought that maybe it would come sooner than then. But if it was literally going to be a cup for each one of the generations, then starting with Kanto this week, we would still be waiting until next year to get them.
Well, I think this year's kind of thrown everything in for a loop.
True.
Like this has been a special year, so I feel like everything with that's been thrown into a loop for Niantic. Everything's having to go remote right now, and I feel like they would push back on the starters at least until probably sometime next year. Right. But maybe for Christmas or January, start slowly releasing other Gen 6 mons.
Right. Yeah, that could be. Well, the other thing that I think will be interesting to watch is that when I look at the things Niantic does, I think of them through the lens not only of like marketing, but also thinking about what they're doing in terms of their technical capabilities, because they're always, shall we say, they're always kind of limited by just the framework that they've given themselves. I think we've seen situations where, you know, like we've got with Bronzor, where it's just kind of like everybody knew it was going to be the Bronzor Cup, but they didn't ban it. So moving forward, how could they fix that? Well, we have seen that they do. It's not just a generational thing, but through the Flying Cup and through the Kanto Cup, we see that they've got that for qualifiers, and then we saw that they banned Ammonite this week on Little Cup. So we know that they can blacklist things if they want to. They can do it. They're capable. They have the technology. It's not going to break anything. So I would be interested to see moving forward if they actually take any more control of their metas than just giving us these really broad ones without any thought out qualifications. Because we're going to get a Lowlands in Kanto Cup, which I think a lot of people find ironic. And I don't know, there's obviously a lot you can do to form a meta, and they've taken a very simplistic approach, but I would kind of expect moving forward we might see something slightly more nuanced.
I don't know about you guys, but my favorite part of Go Battle League is probably the last week, usually, where we get to choose whatever meta we want to do.
Right.
So I wouldn't be opposed to that being a permanent feature. You know, you want to do Great League, do Great League. You want to do Master League, do Master League. You know, I don't know if that's a lot of stress on their servers. You know.
I think it's mostly about
prefer
queue
that.
time. Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people would maybe not, because reaching rank 10 in the current format means you have to master every single league, and it's really difficult for you to grind to 10 in just one. So I can see a lot of pushback from that as well. But I would love if I would be able to do Great League the entire time.
Yeah, then I would never have to worry about Ultra or Master League.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was sorry, I was talking. I was just saying, yeah, I know. Yeah, I was saying that's the elitist pushback, though, talking, right? Probably.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know. It definitely, like, rank 10, like, I get it. It takes mastery to get rank 10. Like, you have to show, like, oh, I'm strong in Great League. I'm strong in, oh my gosh, what a big raid. Hey, Panic, what's up?
Welcome in, Panic.
Dang, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so you have to show that you're strong in Great League, Ultra League, and Master League, and then maybe the premieres, you know, if you want to dabble in those. But, like, ultimately, why can't we? I think everyone shares this. I hate being forced to do things. Like, if I'm being forced, let's say, like, to read a book, I'm not going to read a book if I'm forced to read a book. But if I want to read the book, I'm going to read the book. Like, it's going to be a good time. I'm going to enjoy it. But if I'm forced to read a book, chances are I'm barely going to touch the book. So, like, that can go along with GBL, where it's like, if you're forced to do something, chances are your performance is going to be pretty bad because you don't want to do it, but you're being forced to do it. So I feel like as people, we typically do better when we do things we want to do. So
where do you think Little Cup falls on that for you? How does that fall? I think that you said you were going to hold out spending any dust until you knew if you were forced to do it. So you did get forced to do it. And how did that play out for you in terms of motivation, in terms of your enjoyment?
Okay, so Little Cup is like a really interesting thing to talk about, because Little Cup, it looked really silly at the beginning. Like, it looked really silly. But then I realized, like, wait, Thomas had something like this, like, a while ago on his channel. I don't know if you guys know Thomas, but shout out to Thomas, another Team Rocket streamer. But he had these, like, low CP battles where we just use, like, random, like, babies and stuff to battle with. And it was just so much fun. And I remembered that, and I was like, oh, maybe it could be fun. So I ended up, you know, powering the bronzer up and the why not up like the same day it was released. And then I had a lot of fun with the meta. So it's, the reluctance to battle was definitely there, but like, yeah, I don't know. I think Little Cup is definitely an interesting format, and if they bring it back, I was talking with Trigger and Alyssa earlier, that if they bring it back with, like, seasonal bans, I feel like people would be okay with it. Like, if, like, let's say, oh, like, this time we're gonna ban Bronzer, but don't worry, trainers, next time we'll ban Why Not. I don't know. So
honestly, they could probably always ban Bronzer, and that would be fine.
Or they could just do that, but then trainers would be upset. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. I would be upset.
I mean,
Uh,
once something establishes itself as that dominant, it's kind of like the Dialga thing, where it's just like if
right.
people spend that much on something and they've got in their minds that the return on investment is going to be a certain thing, and then they say, "Oh, well, surprise, it's not relevant anymore," then people don't care for that a whole lot.
Yeah.
But if you recognize the need for the meta to change and grow and be less stale, sometimes you've got to do that. So yeah, I don't know if they would be able to do it right away, but yeah, Bronzor was definitely extremely polarizing. I mean, you could definitely play off meta if you wanted to, but I'm guessing the higher you go in the hidden
There's a lot of
Elo
bronzer.
world. What's that?
There's a lot of bronzer.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
There's
there's a
of
ton of
bronzer.
Bronzor, but I mean, you can play against it.
I
But
guess.
it's tough. It's tough. You're
Yeah.
really playing RPS at that point much more.
Yeah.
And yeah, those Dragon Balls, I agree. Possible future 1000 CP Cup. The things to me that kind of point in that direction. There are a couple
Whirlipede.
of them. What's that?
Whirlipede.
Yes, Whirlipede. I know. I told Ethan that I felt that about Whirlipede because they mentioned it in the Poison Sting move update. They specifically called it out as something that got it, and you're thinking to yourself, what possible relevance does that have to anything? It doesn't even max out at 1500. It's a middle evolution. It's pretty weird, but they could very easily do 1000 CP Cup. It could be even something where it's all middle evolutions or something along those lines. I don't know. And obviously we have the weirdness of Draining Kiss Curlia. You have no idea what they could do where you're gonna have like these middle evolutions that are just kind of like stuck in no man's land right now, but they've hinted that there's some reason you should care about them. So I would not be shocked if that was a thing coming up. In fact, I would think it could come very soon. What anybody have any thoughts on that, on 1000 CP Cup, on any of those things? How about sorry, for Darth Kylo, do you feel the same annoyance or difficulty with things like Little Cup that you do with Premier or with Master League and Ultra League in terms of just dust constraints, or do you view those as being a little bit easier to manage?
So I'm probably one of the few people in the world who have not done a single Little Cup battle.
And you just made that conscious decision because it was too expensive, because you thought it was silly. What was your thought process?
It was for the simple fact that when they brought everything up, it was pretty much bronzer, why not, all these things that I have to find certain IVs for, and then power those up and spend all the Stardust just to use them for this probably one-off cup, where I was just like, I can miss GBL for a week.
Right. Have you ever looked at how you interact with GBL and whether it ends up being like a net positive or negative Stardust situation? I mean, do you end up making dust off of it? Do you know?
Yeah, I make dust off of GBL, and it normally goes into Sylph.
Right. And
so that's where all my dust is.
So do you typically make the decision whether to participate in something based on whether you project that you're actually going to be able to recoup the dust, or do you just figure if you've got to spend the dust, it's just, and put in all that effort, it's just not worth it to you?
Yeah, I think it's, if I have to spend dust to max out for Master League, find a Hundo Dialga, a Hundo Groudon, all these Hundo legendaries that you have to wind up spending money on, it's just not worth it in the end for me for a 3-week period.
Yeah. And are you much of a raider, or do you put much money into the game, or do you just kind of try and avoid those dynamics?
I used to put a lot of money into the game. I don't as much now. I used to go really hard on raiding, but I think probably since the end of season 1, beginning of season 2, it's been mostly PvP for me. So that's where most of my focus has been.
Yeah, I mean, when GBL first came out, to me, it was like the primary appeal to me was really a way to get resources to do Sylph. And I think even myself, I've lost focus on that as being the goal. It's just kind of become the focal point of the community. But I definitely think a lot of other people have as well, to the point where it's like, I mean, if you're having fun, you're having fun. And I want people to do whatever they're having fun with. But sometimes it's kind of crazy where people just feel like, I've got to spend the dust and I've got to make this because I got to do GBLs. And you get to the end of that thought process and you're just kind of like, wait, is GBL your job, or do you actually, is this something you do for fun? Like, it's kind of weird to be in a situation where people are trying to decide whether to do GBL or not, just because they feel compelled to.
Yeah. I don't feel compelled to as much. I mean, season 1 I did because I thought it was a cool concept, so I just went for it. But seeing everything you needed for Master League and Ultra League, it kind of turned me away from actually wanting to do GBL more.
Right. Ethan, I alluded to the idea of the Ammonite ban, and I think you brought it to my attention, the fact that had happened. And when I looked into it, it seemed like it was simply a side effect of the really long-standing situation where there was a CP. I don't think it was even the CP recalc. I think it was some sort of bug where they pushed something in the game where effectively Ammonite had no attack stat or something, so the CP was based on Amon with no attack stat. And so if you never powered it up, then the CP never updated, and apparently somebody had an Ammonite that was just plowing through GBL Little Leagues. And was that about the correct understanding of that?
Yeah. I didn't really know how it was, like what it was at first, but I think that's correct. Yeah. They definitely have an issue with CPs. At least recently, they've had an issue with CPs, like the whole Beedrill thing too. Recently, I don't
mega
really,
part?
yeah, like the Mega Beedrill. Yeah,
Right.
that was interesting. I don't know what that's all about, besides it just being like a missing value, but like I don't know what's happening there. But I guess it's their coding infrastructure, but I don't know how that's managed. So
yeah. And so
yeah.
coming up, we've got the Kanto Cup, and I feel like probably for at least this next week, probably most everybody can just kind of like get along and agree that it's at least a reasonable middle ground. It's like, it's something that folks who are longtime battlers probably have a lot of stuff made. Folks who are newer to PvP probably are not going to make a whole lot of completely useless stuff to make it, and it'll be a meta that's not entirely exactly what we've seen recently. So are you guys looking forward to Kanto Cup, or are you thinking it's just more of the same?
It's my favorite cup for sure.
Do you think it's gonna? Do we think it's gonna be Hypno dominated, or do we think that that's just the PV poke projection and it's gonna be something different?
I think it's going to be a really interesting safe switch for a lot of people, since they don't have to worry as much about the other types that Hypno usually has to worry about. Then again, they're probably running things like Shadow Ball too, for the occasional Alolan Marowak. But I'm going to be running a full Alolan team because I'm not messing with any Hypnos. Alolan Muck and Alolan Marowak are going to take it out for sure.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, is you have the people that are planning on running the Hypno safe swap, and then on the other side of the coin you have people that are running the Muck safe swap. So it's really like a dynamic meta, because it's like, like sure, Hypno's strong and it beats like a whole bunch of the meta, but then you have Muck's over here, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna come in on your Hypno, and your Hypno can't do anything to me unless you have Focus Blast, in which case I cry. But Yeah.
I've had that.
Yeah. But yeah. Uh, I actually think that double nuke Hypno could be interesting too, but that's another thing. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else had other thoughts on Keto. I'm really excited about it too.
I think it'll be a nice change of pace, and I'm hoping to actually get a little bit of use out of my Lickitung, since it's the second one that I've wasted my time best buddying, and I haven't really gotten much use out of it. So definitely hoping to do that.
I feel like with Kanto Cup, it'll take like 2 or 3 days, and Lickitung is going to be everybody's safe swap no matter what.
I can see that.
Like, it's Lick Body Slam with Stab on Body Slam. It's going to be everybody's safe swap by like the 3rd day.
Yeah. And what do you see being the main trade-offs or strategic considerations between, say, Lickitung and Snorlax, which is going to be more accessible for people?
I feel like maybe superpower with the attack buff and attack defense can be good against certain things, but then you have to get it locked into one of those things where something like Power Whip can just handle, I feel like, a better array. Because if you have a Snorlax versus Hypno, you're just stuck really body slamming it. You can't superpower because it's not going to do anything. Where at least Power Whip can do, I think, a bit more to Hypno, just because it's not resisted.
Yeah. Looks like, so Lickitung, I'm assuming it's going to struggle with, I guess, is it fairly even with Alolan Mach? I would think it wouldn't fare too well.
It actually beats it.
Wow.
Because of the body slam spam.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
Unlike Hypno, at least Lickitung can at least wall Marowak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like a Munchlax, but it's like a better Munchlax.
Yeah, it's like a better Munchlax, a worse Vigoroth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very interesting.
Do you have anything you're planning on running, Alyssa? Any Kanto favorites that you haven't used a whole lot, but you'll get a chance to use?
Definitely Lickitung. I have a shiny Lucky that I haven't used in anything since I've gotten it, and I am ready to bring him out.
The best. One of the, I mean, there's not many shinies that compare with that one, honestly, I don't think.
Oh, it's a good one.
It's like a gold statue, but it just happens to be flinging around an enormous tongue. I don't know what's not to like about that.
I usually don't like it, but I haven't used it. I think it's gonna be good here. I don't know. It's unsettling looking.
I think we had this discussion originally when it came out, how you were unsettled by it.
I am.
Oh man, I personally think that Alolan Sandslash has a ton of promise based on what people are likely to run, but we shall see. And I'm just excited that Shadow Gloom is ranked 14th because of my Shadow Gloom that I know that Ethan loves. And I know that even if people run Grass Hole of some form, they probably will not be running Shadow Gloom because nobody's as high on it as I am.
It's all about Victory Bell for some reason.
What's that?
It's all about Victory Bell.
I know, exactly. They don't understand. Gloom is just like it's got it all going on.
So my question would be, what would be the Grass Hole version of Kanto since there's no Bastiodon?
Yeah, I mean, certainly.
Would it be Graveler?
Or Steelix Gen 2? Yeah, no, it's Graveler.
Would it be Graveler?
I would also say Dugong, just for the anti-air.
Dugong? Okay, yeah, anti-air. It has to be anti-air, so
just what the
or Sandslash, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sandslash.
It could be a low in Sandslash because it's Steel Ice.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think we'll see plenty of Wigglytuff as well, especially since we had my wonderful Jigglypuff Spotlight Hour this past week. And everyone also is gearing up for Catch Cup. So if they didn't already have a Wigglytuff, they now probably have multiple Wigglytuff. They're really cheap to make. We know how everybody loves their fast move pressure, so I'm expecting to see plenty of that. Is there any other Charmer in Gen 1? Let's see. Clefable. Sorry, Clefable, Raichu, and Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't see people running Charmchew, even though that was a meme very
Triple
early
Charm.
on. Triple Charm. All right, Debbie, we're leaving it to you, Debbie, to try and figure out if you can run Charmhole in this meta.
I don't have one built, but I feel like Mew's moveset and having access to 25 moves could be a force to reckon with in certain team comps.
Yeah, Mew's always been something to reckon with, but in Blind 3's limited to Kanto, I feel like it's definitely going to make itself known.
I really don't like seeing Mew, so if I see a Mew, I'll cry.
Because you don't know the set on it.
Yeah.
You never know if you got a shield.
Yeah, exactly. I have a secret weapon, but I think everyone knows the secret weapon. I'm gonna say it anyways.
Uh-oh.
I'm a fan of the rat. I'm bringing the rat. I'm bringing it out. It's coming out.
Alolan or normal?
Alolan.
Okay.
It's coming
out. That bite.
No. It's all about the quick attack, the energy generation.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You best believe. Yeah. Oh, it's coming. It's gonna absolutely dominate all the hypnos. It's just gonna be a fun time. I can't wait to catch everyone off guard, and they're like, "What? He has another crunch?" Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. That's right. You're gonna shield. Yeah.
I firmly believe that Ethan is only high on the rat because he was around for me being forced to build one and wasting like $250,000 to make one.
I've been a rat fan since like Twilight Cup. Okay, so
you're a rat enthusiast.
I'm a rat, or actually Nightmare Cup. So I've been a rat. I've been around the rat. You know, the rat's been there, you know. So, yeah.
Boy. No one's questioning your rat street cred. Nobody's questioning.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting pick. But
you say Graveler. I think I tried to run a Graveler in Sims, or not Sims, in Scrims last night, and it just got chewed up. I think maybe I ran into him at Champ, which makes sense, but I don't know. I don't know if that can fit the Bastiodon role. It's a little bit too squish.
I feel like if Hypno becomes everybody's safe swap, Shadow Machamp becomes everybody's lead.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's why I think what is it? Victory Bell, Sandslash, Gloom. It's grass hole.
That would be the Kanto grass hole.
That's it. Yeah, frozen. Yeah. It's scary. It beats Hypno in the ones, I think. Sandslash does.
If it doesn't have Fire Punch.
If it doesn't have Fire Punch, that is a good point. I think most won't, though.
If it has
right?
Fire Punch, actually, I don't know. I could see cases if people want to run the, if that becomes the grass hole line, Fire Punch.
Then it swings in the meta. Yeah,
more prevalent.
Yeah, it just the meta swings and shifts. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, AWAC too. So, yeah. Alyssa brings up a good point too with the rat. That was definitely my guy before Umbreon, because I was like, oh man, poor man's Umbreon, rat. I guess that's got to be my choice.
Well, it usually beats Umbreon too. So in those kind of metas where they were closed and the two were available, it was not just a poor man's Umbreon. It was kind of a Umbreon counter.
It's actually very much not a poor man's Umbreon because it's so expensive.
Yes.
It's like the, oh my gosh, I don't have an Umbreon. What am I gonna use? Pick. Yeah.
Exactly that. Like, I started PvP after a break because I was bored of the game, and then PvP came out, so I jumped in. But I didn't have a lot of the community day stuff that a lot of people did have if they did not take that break. So I remember I won a tournament with an Ivysaur instead of a Frenzy Plant Venusaur because I didn't have one. And I was using a Rat because I didn't have Last Resort Umbreon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I share that with you, Alyssa, because I also ran Ivysaur because I didn't have a good PvP IV Venusaur with Frenzy Plant. So I was just like, okay, Power Whip and Sludge Bomb. This has gotta work. All
I mean,
right,
it does
Ivysaur.
though. It
It
does.
does, yeah, and it's come in clutch. And now, like, it's definitely phased out because I'm sure we both have good Venusaurs
Mhm.
now. So my good little boy has Razor Leaf now, and he is turned into the dark side of the grass hole. So I've kind of retired him into like the Sith, but like it's okay because he will always hold a special place in my heart for being the MVP in my tournaments when I didn't have Venusaur. And I'm sure you could
Oh,
share
mine
that.
is so special. I think that was my
Yeah.
first. It might have been my first tournament win, and it was an open Great League, and I used Ivysaur as my grass. So I will never transfer him or trade him. I'm going to keep him
Never.
forever.
It's a funny story too. I actually have, like let me see the exact IVs. It's a ranked 92 Ivysaur. That's the one that I've always used. But then like a couple of like months ago, I got a Shadow Ivysaur and it was the exact same IVs. So I have a Shadow version
Oh,
and then a
no.
regular one.
Oh,
So you've
no.
got
And they
like
both have the same IVs.
kind of
So
like
I'm
you. There's regular Ethan and Shadow Ethan. You've got
It's
the
like-
Ivysaur
yeah, it's-
equivalents.
exactly. So it's
Wow.
like whatever I'm feeling like, I
Your
can
spirit
bring
animals.
the Shadow out. Yeah.
I guess mine's evil too. I just looked at him, and my Ivysaur has Razor Leaf now.
Yeah, I
also.
feel like most transition to that. So yeah, it's evil. It's turned to the dark side, but it's okay because he'll always hold a special place in our hearts. Yeah.
Oh, how do you guys feel about the actual accessibility of Kanto Cup for, say, somebody who's coming at it from a different perspective than we all probably are? You talk about you were taking a break and you came back and you got an Ivysaur. Say you're somebody who's more recently into PvP and you look at this list and you're like, wait, Lickitung requires Body Slam. I didn't get a good IV. Shadowbone Marowak. Dugong is an investment. And you kind of go down the line and there's a lot of stuff that's Shadow, that kind of thing. Do you think that it feels more artificially accessible to us than it would to maybe an average person, or do you think that it's going to be pretty accessible? Lapras too.
I think this is going to be more of a flexible cup where you're not going to be necessarily locked into a top 3. It might shake out differently, I don't know, but I really feel like you could team build around what you have or what you could trade for, and we're not quite as locked in with the community day moves as we were because now elite TMs are a thing and we have so many opportunities to come across those. So I think it's definitely, it could be worse.
Did everybody buy the box? I'm gonna break down and I'll admit that I bought it, and what I did was I took the remainder of my Google Play points that I'd racked up from previous things, and like those goofy $3 coupons that you can get in the game for discounts, and I just kind of like funneled it all into the game, and I'm just not putting any more into it for now. But since nothing ever really came of me trying to organize people to not buy the boxes, I did buy it, but I just bought it with like the coins that I'm living off for a while. But now I've got like 4 elite fast TMs, and I'm not honestly even sure what I'll use them on until probably December, if we get the situation where we've got the Charizard, the catch-up days, and the double legacy move stuff. That's about the only thing I can think of. But
No, I was not buying that.
okay, so you skipped it. Is it, I assume, mostly because it was the fast TM and because you didn't like play the community day super hard? It wasn't a dust event. You're just kind of like, what am I getting out of this? It's just no biggie.
Oh, I played it all day aside from my margarita break. But I have 3 fast TMs left.
Right.
I don't feel like I needed another one. I feel like it's a really expensive box where you don't get much good stuff aside from the TM itself. So I'm just gonna keep my money this time. The next charge TM I'll probably buy.
Right.
I just bought the box because I forgot to get the box. So
Oh, good.
that just happened. And I only did like 2 hours of community day when I stopped when a 217 CP Electabuzz stole 20 Ultra Balls from me. So at that point I was like, I got 2 shinies. I'm done.
Oh,
I'm not gonna do this anymore.
that sounds painful. It sounds like you were like speed locked or something like that. Like your phone got glitched or.
I haven't left my house today.
Right. Now, sometimes maybe like if your phone like travels halfway across the world because of a GPS glitch or something, and then it like decides to speed lock you or something. I haven't experienced that recently, but back in the past I've had that experience, and it was definitely irritating. Like couldn't catch anything. Anybody? Did you guys buy the box? Did you buy the box, Ethan? Is Ethan gone?
I will. Huh?
Yeah, I thought you were gone. Perhaps. Did you buy the box?
No, I'm here. I did submit and buy the box because I knew that I knew that I knew that you would buy the box.
Oh,
and
it was that. It was he knew I would buy it, so he did it.
I knew that you would buy it, but but the next one I'm actually gonna think about like not buying.
See,
if it's possible. I don't have a charge TM, so
I was gonna say that's the one we all need.
Take it.
Yeah, this is.
Why does they keep taking my money? Wait, what, Ryan?
I have 2 elite charge TMs left.
Yeah, I have 0. So I think it's gonna be hard for me not to
use them on.
The things I've used mine on are embarrassing. So
yeah, I think I'm embarrassed to tell you. Yeah,
I completed my triple legacy Sea King first. I made I'm trying to think what the second one was, but I know I made a shadow.
Blaziken maybe?
I didn't. I still don't even have a Blaziken. I made a shadow flamethrower Kanto Ninetales for absolutely no good reason. I just felt like it. Like I got to a certain point where I had them and I was just like, I want to build things other people don't have. And the PV Poke didn't tell me to do it. I was just like, I'm gonna do it.
That's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right.
It would take somebody off guard, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I have to see what. So, when I got an Elite TM, I have like, it was probably the best Blaziken I'd ever find. It's like rank 400, and I was like, it was for Continentals, and I'm like, let me use this TM on it, Stone Edge. It'll be fine. I'm not gonna find a better one. And then it was like maybe 4 days after Continentals had ended, and I wind up catching a rank 79 Blaziken that I already used an Elite TM for Stone Edge on the other one, and I was kind of like, so this is how we're gonna play today, huh?
Yes, I can relate to that on a different level because I used the distance trading this week to execute a lucky trade for Purified Sableye, and I'm now in the process of best buddying my second Sableye because I got one that's exactly like the other one, which is already best buddied but not purified. So like it really sucks when you sink resources, whether it's an Elite TM or like all that time into best buddying something, and then you've got one that's just strictly better in every way.
Yeah, I've had that Sableye problem before.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so if you're really that curious for my TMs, I have a lot of Pokemon that so basically like I evolve things prematurely. I have a really like bad tendency of doing that. But like and my locals make fun of me for it too. They're like, "Oh, did you pull a scientist? Did you evolve your Pokemon prematurely before the community day?" Because that's that's amazing if you did, because he has so many that he needs to fix. This is all one person, by the way. So, but
Did he freeze? Uh-oh.
He froze.
He froze. Man. Uh-oh. He seemed like he was just getting into the flow, too. He was just going to tell a good story. We'll come back to that, Ethan, when you come back. But, yeah. And I finally made my dugong recently, and I think I did something else that I think was semi-useful. But I'd kind of thought that I was just hoarding them, and I wasn't getting any use out of them, and it was kind of silly that I wasn't doing things like playing with a really meta thing like dugong because of that. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Oh, welcome back.
I don't know what happened, but I don't know what happened.
You froze with your hand on your face, and you were saying something about prematurely evolving Pokemon.
I bet it was a good thumbnail. Anyways, I regret doing Metagross because I found out that Butters was using a Psychic Earthquake Metagross in Masters Premier.
Oh.
And so I have 2 hundos. One of them had Meteor Mash and the other one didn't. And I was like, okay, I'll TM this because I'll have better raid counters, and it'll just be better for me. So now I'm a proud owner of 2 Meteor Mash hundos, but I'm also not the proud owner of a really good save swap in Premier. So I need to
slow your roll.
I just need to slow down. Yeah, I need to not use TMs until I know that they're good to go, because otherwise I'm gonna have problems like this. And yeah, I'm not gonna TM Meteor Mash away. That's a waste of $15 license. So I'm not doing that. But I think I do have another hundo, so I just need to power that one up.
3 hundo?
I have 3 hundo. I think I got one from Hatch, and then 2 were in the wild. So I think I got one recently. So I need to I just need to be more careful with what I do with my TMs, because that goes for everyone too. If you evolve, because I evolved I evolved a lucky Snivy that I got from a friend. It was a hundo, and I was just like, heck yeah, I want Superior my Pokédex. And then I was like, frick. I was just like, oh geez, okay. I mean, and then now I'm justifying it with my friend. I'm like, 10 damage really isn't that much more. Frenzy, what is it? What's the move it has? It has Power Whip or something. Wait, what?
Leaf Tornado?
Oh, it has Leaf Tornado. It's known for that. Yeah, that's true. Oh, it has Grass Knot. That's what it has. And Grass Knot's 10 less damage or something. Maybe 20, but somewhere in there. And I'm like, that's not that much more realistically. And my friend's like, yeah, it is. You just prematurely evolved that. That was a really stupid idea. I'm like, okay, well.
When are you gonna use a perfect Superior though?
True.
I mean,
I don't think the combat matters that much.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But it would have been nice to have Frenzy Plant Superior for Ultra League with the best buddy.
Ooh,
yeah, even though it's really lackluster, but whatever. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I make mistakes like that all the time. So I just need to be more careful with what I do with things. But yeah, that's what I've used my TMs on. I use it on a Metagross, I use it on an Articuno, I've used it on a Dugong, and I've used it on something else that I can't think of right now that I had to fix. So something else that I had to fix. So yeah. I don't know where we're going now with the conversation because Jiggly had to leave.
I'm trying to think what I used mine on.
Okay.
I wouldn't regret the things you used it on. I will say that.
No. The only thing I regret is the Metagross, just because like I like PvP more than raiding, and just because I wanted to have good raid counters doesn't justify the use of a TM until I know that it's like not necessary for PvP to have a Meteor Mash Metagross. And this was like I don't know. I was thinking like maybe I want Meteor Mash and like another move that it'll have in the future. So I'll just TM this one. I really should have just kept it. Oh my gosh, I just don't even
I mean,
whatever.
apparently you have a third chance now, which I'm very jealous of.
I do have a third chance, so I can't muck it up too badly. Yeah. But yeah. So that's nice, at least. Yeah. I don't know if anyone else has anything else to share on the Elite TM front, but
built the Dugong.
oh yeah,
Had to use it on 2 Blazeskins.
I
used it on a Venusaur because I got a better one. And I've used it on my Marowak for Shadowbone.
Right, and you said that. Do you think the Shadowbone one was worth it, or
over Shadow Ball? Yes.
Yeah, no, definitely over Shadow Ball. But like, have you found good use of it through it yet, or?
Yeah. Over 100% with the one that I have.
Right. Yeah, because I bet it's good rank. Okay, yeah, that's definitely, I think, Elite TM for sure.
I did the raid day for it and got a few shinies and then a couple more to trade, but the one that I already had for PvP, I was just waiting for it to be Elite TMable.
Yeah, 100%.
What do you guys think about the dynamic moving forward between charge and fast? Do you think that there will come a time where the fast TMs actually become a commodity we wish we had held on to, or do you think that you could literally justify using it on like a water gun seal or whatever for Little Cup just to be dumb because they're just never going to be that valuable?
I don't trust Niantic. They may break something. Looking at Bullet Seed Credilli, when that was broken and no one could get it for like ever.
Right.
Oh
wait, you're talking about the Credilli where the flip side was you couldn't get the Credilli, you could get the Laleep that you weren't supposed to get.
Yeah, you get the Laleep, and then the Credilli somehow lost its ability to get Bullet Seed when they did the Bullet Seed change for it.
That's true. Oh wait, let's see.
Yeah, definitely. With the fast TM situation, I feel like most Pokemon only have like two fast moves. I feel like, right? Like, am I not correct in saying that? Like, maybe there's a couple that have like 3,
right?
But there are a lot more charge moves than there are fast. So, just through that logic, like, I think that fast TMs will always just kind of be like less used, unless they like expand upon how many moves or fast moves Pokemon get in the future, which they definitely will, because we need moves with like same energy generation, like a fairy move with like snarl generation, like incinerate kind of thing. Yeah, so I definitely think it will happen in the future, but at this point in time, probably just the charge TMs are just going to be what we really want, and the fast is just like, if you want a fast TM a water gun seal, go ahead, because you can, because you probably will have to wait another 2 years before they add all these amazing fast moves to the game.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's coming anytime soon. Like most of the community days haven't been what we've had. Counter Alakazam, which was not a game breaker. We had Dragon Breath on Charizard this time. We've had Bullet Seed on Shiftry, which is a side grade that most people don't think is worth it. I'm trying to think. There's just not that many. Obviously, there's Wing Attack on Charizard, which before Dragon Breath kind of felt like a no-brainer for certain situations, but I don't know. It's just interesting that they treat them the same, and I used to feel to me like they were at least going to try and correspond to whatever the move was that they were giving out that day, but now they've obviously broken that, where it's just like we just had a charge move and they give us a fast TM, so I don't know. You could even see them charging. I could see them charging different amounts for the two, given that fewer people probably would want to buy the fast. But I don't know how. Oh yeah, Ice Shard Lapras. That's true. It's the. It's got imagine tapping on the right or left side. Exactly. Yeah, I've wanted that for a while. Ice Shard. I guess the shadows are the ones that really mix things up, including Ice Shard Lapras, where you have to use one to make a shadow Ice Shard Lapras, but I have not gone down that road yet. I suppose that's a road I should consider.
I think the problem with most fast moves that we have in the game right now is it doesn't mean to happen, but they get judged compared to Counter and Shadow Claw.
Right.
Which I feel like is probably the two best fast moves we have in the game.
Right. Or yeah, exactly. Yeah, the ones that have both strong energy generation and damage. Right.
So on the Shiftry note, I feel like getting Bullet Seed was a letdown because it already had Snarl. Like there's like maybe one or two cases where Bullet Seed helps you out, but Snarl's always going to be the better choice. And when you have certain mons that it's like where are they? Like Hitmonlee and Hitmontop.
Right.
Or no, Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, the two Lees. Hitmonchan has counter, Hitmonlee doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. And Hitmonlee has like decent moves, but its fast move is so bad that there's nothing you can do with it.
Right.
Because unlike Hitmonchan, it doesn't get access to counter. It gets, I think, low sweep, and low sweep doesn't really do anything.
Exactly.
And it gets downgraded because it falls in the fighting category, but because it doesn't have access to counters, the counter fast move, there's always something better than it.
Right. Yeah, it will be very interesting if we ever see a day where counter gets semi-nerfed or the other fighting moves get treated with any respect. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like Fire also falls under this category.
Right.
I mean, Incinerate now, I think it's on like 4 or 5 mons helps, but most Fire mon fast moves get Ember. And Ember's good, but it could be better.
Right. And so with Incinerate, I was actually specifically going to ask you about that as someone who seems focused solely on Great League stuff. It really seems pretty lackluster. The most important thing it appears on is Typhlosion, which I suppose you could see in some closed metas, and makes it a more viable true Firemon at that point. But it definitely appears on some higher mons. What did you think of the way that they kind of doled out Incinerate and the nature of it as a 5-turn move?
On Typhlosion, it all depends on meta, but I feel like in most metas, Shadow Claw is still just the better option.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the damage and energy gain and how quick it is.
Right.
Rapidash got it, didn't it?
It did. It did, and I've got a hundo that I've been walking, anticipating that it was going to be a thing, but it still seems underwhelming based on
Yeah, and then
matchups.
Rapidash's downfall becomes it doesn't have that great of a charge move set.
Right.
I feel like Ho-Ho gets an upgrade because it didn't really have a fast move to begin with besides hidden powers. So that gets an upgrade because it finally has a fire fast move now. But I feel like for Great League, Rapidash doesn't really go anywhere in Typhlosion. Most metas would still prefer Shadow Claw over Incinerate.
Right. Now, sometimes you can read tea leaves and kind of figure out what Niantic is thinking by the way that they did something. I'm curious what people think on this one, because when we saw I think it was the bug update and maybe to some extent the grass update, but especially the bug one, I'm thinking it kind of came in waves where we had what was specifically penned the bug update, and then there were other times when like bugs were still getting buffs and moves were getting doled out. I'm thinking specifically we've got Vespiquen that just seems to just get love every time they do a move update, and so it doesn't seem like these things are necessarily just a one step and they're done. Everybody's been saying that fire needs some sort of a buff, but people have also said Ho-Oh is irrelevant because of its fast move situation. Do you think that maybe they started with Incinerate the way they did to try and specifically target Ho-Oh, but make it more niche, if you will? Like if they gave Ho-Oh a really fast energy generating move, like a really quick turn move, I think it could have been a little bit overpowered, and maybe they were just trying to come up with a balance of what they could put on Ho-Oh.
It's funny. I almost did a lucky trade for a Ho-Oh today in preparation for Master League that I'll probably never play.
Right. I did that as well.
Almost did it. Wound up not doing it and got a Melmetal instead.
I did do it, but the IVs are underwhelming, so I'm sitting on it waiting to see what happens, but I doubt I will have the dust to deal with it. But, I mean, to me, when you look at the rankings and you look at the distribution of the move, it seems like it's really not something that's going to be seen a lot. It's probably going to be seen on... are we going to see it on Chandelure as a fire raid counter, or is it still going to use fire spin? I don't even know.
I think it's Incinerate now is the preferred one.
It says Incinerate on PV Poke, but Chandelure is so far down. I feel like you, depending on the meta, you probably want to run Hex on it. Right.
I was saying is like Chandelure is pretty much an afterthought in PvP, so I was trying to figure out whether in like a raid scenario, whether
I don't think it's a go-to for raids either, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't use it a whole lot. I've used it as a ghost attacker at times, and I know that people say it's got pretty high ghost and fire DPS, but I haven't really looked into it. I just didn't know what their thought process would be on how they've doled out the moves, other than just kind of like let's fix Ho-Oh, but let's not do something too crazy to fire that's going to throw everything out of whack. But I would love to see them follow it up with, I don't know, changing Ember or adding another move.
I feel like Ember is probably going to be what they would have to focus on as a fire fast move, because I think Fire Spin is good the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to buff that, I think Alolan Marowak then becomes almost a full fire type.
Right.
Which, the reason I feel like Chandelure is so far down and just doesn't get any consideration is because it just gets outclassed and outshined by Alolan Marowak.
Right.
But I feel like for straight fire, Ember would have to be the way they would have to go. I feel like Incinerate was just for Ho-Oh. Just so people would be like, just so that people would stop almost complaining about it not having an actual
right.
fast move to use.
Yeah, it was kind of a joke, honestly, before it was kind of absurd. But I think that initially, when PV Poke was running The Sims, they had Ho-Oh even higher than it is now. I think it was, I can't remember whether it was in like the 2 to 4 range. I mean, it was very high in the meta, and right now it's 6. I look at it and I see those weird moves, and I mean, I see Brave Bird, which obviously you have to play a certain way, and I see Earthquake, and such a slow 5-turn move. I am curious whether you guys think that it will actually end up being relevant, particularly relevant, or whether it's just going to be one of those things that looks good on paper and doesn't actually see a lot of play.
I feel like it becomes you save a shield for it, and you try to get both shields down, and then you just use whatever move you had on it to nuke. Just start nuking everything in the back.
It's definitely a great closer, I feel like. I don't know if this is a testament to like all of Master League, but I did see I don't know if you guys popped by the charity stream this weekend that was happening on King's channel, but Super Sai was using it against the Master League meta, and shields down, it's a monster. So it's actually a monster. So if you can get both shields down and it's a closer, there's really nothing, and you have a shield for it, there's really nothing that can beat it unless it's a Kyogre or something that wins against it super hard. So it's crazy with energy and shields, and with the opponent having none. It's just, yeah, you pretty much just quit if you have something weak to Ho-Oh in the back and then the opponent has a shield. So yeah, that's how I feel about Ho-Oh. I think it's pretty strong.
Do you think potentially, I'm just looking at the Master League meta as listed on PV Poke, and it lists Melmetal number 2 and Dialga number 3. Do you think with the combination of Groudon and Ho-Oh, and even I don't know how they sim out now, but I know initially they were saying that that Lugia with Aeroblast didn't even need Hydro Cannon to beat Melmetal. That may have changed. But do you think maybe the Melmetal and Dialgas of the world are not going to actually be that high in the pecking order as they sim right now?
So I think what's good about Ho-Oh is that it shakes up the meta to the point where maybe the Butters line falls out of line, or falls out of play. Like people aren't going to use it as much, which, I mean, if you guys don't already know, like super famous, I don't know if it's Butters line. I don't know. But it's Dialga, Melmetal, Dragonite, and that line is like really, really popular. But with Groudon and Ho-Oh, obviously those things are going to shift a little bit more, and maybe people aren't going to be using that line as much, depending what the lead is. So I think the addition to Ho-Oh is really crucial, because I think the people that are balancing the meta were realizing that there's a lot of steals, and I think this is their best response to that, and I think it's a great response. So I think that if you can tear away shields, like I'm saying, this Ho-Oh is just gonna run loose in the back. It's just gonna go on an absolute rampage. So yeah, I think it's a good balance for sure. It's a good meta balancer.
And
Yeah.
Alyssa's often said different things about Master League. She said things like she'd never do it. Then she said, "Who am I that I'm going to do this?" And now I hear her saying she had a second thoughts on lucky trading for a Ho-Oh. Where do you fall on this? Are you pretty much to the point where you aren't going to invest in something like that regardless?
Oh, me?
Well, I was saying Alyssa, but I don't know if maybe I'm missing
Alyssa's she stepped away.
Oh, she did step away. I see that.
But in terms of me, or I don't know about Ryan. Ryan can answer after. I'm probably never. I don't really want to play Open Master. I know that a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, you should definitely try it." Like this is mainly Psy, by the way. It's like, you should definitely try it. It's a really good league. It's really versatile. Like, well, my problem with Masters, and I think I can share this with a lot of people, is that the walls are just so hard. Like I've said it in chats, like what I mean by that is like when you get hard countered, it's not just like, oh, like I can farm it down. No, it's like Dialga has like half of its HP and Dragon Breath's gonna kill your entire backline now. So now you're screwed. So like I don't know. You can't really come back from um like losing out on like being a hard countered as much as you can in Great League, where like, oh, like if I'm hard countered in Great League, I have some potential to farm down, get some energy. It's not the worst thing in the world. I can use a shield, but in Masters, it's like, man, I just ran into the largest brick wall, and I can't break through it because there's just so much raw damage, and it's so IV dependent that it just it's just I'm sitting out of open masters probably. So, and I don't really even like playing Premiere, but that might change once I have a Togekiss. So,
Right. And
yeah.
and Not Rob May brings up a solid point, which is that in Premiere, Incinerate does play more of a role just because, and Chandelure is more relevant just based on the meta. That is quite true, and it's also true for Ultra Premiere for Typhlosion that it's able to play more of a a true grass role where there's less of a ghost centric meta.
There's definitely different ways you can play the Pokemon in each of these leagues. I think Ryan did bring up a good point though with Shadow Claw. I think it's definitely, although Incinerate it seems like it gives more energy. Like Shadow Claw is just so fast and it chunks out damage. So I feel like for Incinerate or for Typhlosion specifically, I think Shadow Claw is probably better, but it definitely has like a different role that it could play if it's running Incinerate. So I don't know if Ryan has any thoughts on Master League or not, but it's just such a dust sink that you guys are good. You can play with your steel dragons all you want.
I don't have a steel dragon, so I wish I could.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Master League is just it's weird because I think Master League more than any other league is IV dependent. Like if you are one or two stats off in a mirror matchup, you lose the mirror matchup, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yep. And then like we were saying, right? Like with Great League, you know, if you get hard countered, oh man, like at least I have some play. But if you get hard countered in Masters, oh man, good luck coming back because you have to farm down an entire legendary usually, and that isn't a small task. Like that's a legendary.
That's a legendary.
And he's there to mess you up. He isn't there to just give you hugs and cuddles, you know. He isn't there to just like hold your hand as you're farming him down. No, he's gonna put down the pain on you, and he's gonna rip your family to shreds. So like, oh hi Alyssa, welcome back.
Oh.
So
that's Ethan's idea of vamping until we can get Alyssa's take on whether she's actually gonna pull the trigger on a ho-oh or if she just doesn't want to spend the resources on it.
It sounds like it got exciting in here while I was getting water.
Sure did.
Yeah, very passionate about the hard walls of Masters.
Yeah.
I think my next lucky trade, I have a couple things I want to get. I definitely want to get a hoe, and I really want to mirror swap my Axew, but I can't find anybody else with one.
I did both of those things, and my Axew turned out horribly. It's basically just going to get thrown in gyms to feed. There's no other purpose for it.
So I feel like this would be someone who actually does Masters would probably be able to test everything out. I feel like with Ho-Oh actually maybe playing a part you might have Palkia come in just to wall it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah,
Because-
I did make a Palkia, so I'm that much.
Because
I'm glad.
Palkia now, since it got Aqua Tail forever ago, it now has its water spam move that it could wall Ho-Oh with.
Right. Absolutely. Hopefully, I'll actually get some mileage out of that, because I got limited mileage out of it before. Someone is talking in chat about something that I think is on a lot of people's minds, which is Catch Cup and just what you think of it. I know that there was a tweet from PV Poke that had the some suggestions for what you might want to run, and I think that it's got the potential to be interesting for a lot of the reasons that we kind of isolated on before, which is just the ability to run things like an Ivysaur and that sort of thing. But as we already discussed, those things are honestly not that cheap. What are you guys eyeballing at doing with regard to Catch Cup? Are you going to do it on the cheap, not do it at all, do it with a focus toward building things that you actually need for Sylph, or what?
So what is the time date on Catch Cup? I haven't really looked into it.
Let's see. I'm pretty sure it was the start of season 5, I think.
The start of Little Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's November 8th, I think, or November 9th. November 9th. Anything
November
that's
9th?
caught on November 9th to the 30th, right? 30th. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Only Pokemon that have been caught since the beginning of season 5 is what it says. So whether they actually cut that off at like the actual time
Oh,
of
maybe
day,
it's
I don't know, but that's what they say. CP 1500, of course, mythical, not eligible, and yeah. So that there are. Let's see, what were the suggestions that Kakuna put out there, and see how much those jive with what people think.
I mean, if you have, it depends on what nests are around you, or you know where some good nests are.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna see what I can do about basing basing my picks around my nests. I have a Quillfish nest right now, so I'm thinking I can make a pretty cheap Quillfish.
Yeah.
The list on PV Poke's tweet was Clefable and Wiggly, Haunter, Altaria, Ivysaur, an Umbreon that apparently would not have last resort unless you used an Elite TM, or a Whimsicott. I think that these are from things that you can get from some of the tasks.
Yeah, because task and then just things you could find in the wild.
I guess those are all from tasks. Then they've got Team Rocket. You've got Golbat, Skarmory, Beedrill, another Ivysaur, Hypno, Sableye, and Shadow Vic. But man, those are kind of rough. I mean, Golbat I could see, but like making a second Skarmory or making a
and the fact that it's Shadow too, so it's even more Stardust.
Right, and being able to even find like I think I've now totaled 3 Shadow Skarmory I found, but it's like I guess you could trade for a purified one, and that would be cheapish if you got lucky.
Yeah.
Eggs, Golbat, Altaria, Quagsire, Superior, Poliwrath, another Umbreon, Fortress, Galv. So Joltix are apparently in 5K Adventure Sync eggs, so I get, but I mean, I have not seen a whole lot of Joltik outside of that. Ferrothorn, 10K eggs. Mandibuzz.
Oh gosh, no, please.
Scrafty and Zweilous. I mean, those make some sense, Scrafty and Zweilous, because if you were already playing GBL, you might be getting more of them.
But the Volibee And I mean that makes sense too, but like if you really, it's like the same. I feel like the same people that are gonna use Volby and Little Cup are gonna use Mandibuzz and Catch. But that's a
boy.
hot take. That's a
well-
hot take. But
So-
I feel like I'm not far off.
What? So Mandibuzz. That's the big thing too, is we don't actually know whether traded mons are going to be eligible, and if they are, we don't know if it's going to be based. I assume it'll be based on the date they were caught, not the date they were traded.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make it a little harder for the Mandibuzz to justify making, but I don't know.
I know Trigger said it in chat, and it would be a good point. There's going to be a lot of areas that are going to have region exclusive ones that they've caught in the last 30 days that other people won't.
So Tropius is going to be a thing only
Tropius would be a thing for like half the world. Everybody else would be like, oh, it's Tropius. I can't get that.
Oh man.
Yeah, this time you actually can't use it because you can't trade for it. So there you go. Yep, Tropius is now unattainable to the masses, except for the people that are, fortunate enough to have Tropius. So super cool.
Maybe just maybe Niantic was forward thinking enough to disable Tropius spawns before at the start of GBL season 3, but I'm going to say no. Niantic, I'm just going to throw this out there. Please ban Tropius for Catch Cup. It's going to really be
and Relicanth.
I mean, Relicanth. I mean, the regionals. If they wanted to ban all the regionals, that's fine. But honestly, Relicanth is barely relevant, except now that Ancient Power is terrible. But yes, spoof. Okay, here we go. We're gonna have Spoofergate. We're gonna have the red.
I didn't make the tinfoil bow yet.
We're gonna have. Oh
that
no,
there.
Alyssa, you had a whole week off. You were supposed to be making that while you were in the mountains, right?
Oh, that was an adventure.
Yeah. I agree. Oh, this is an adventure. I agree, Cat Durg. At least all of us have Tauros. That is going to be our saving grace in Catch Cup. All right. So stack up on your Tauros and make sure they have Earthquake, because we're going to be running into a lot of grass hole and we're going to need the Earthquake.
I can walk down the street and go get Heracross if I need a Tauros counter.
Okay, that's fair, I guess. So I guess you have us all beat. Well,
I was gonna say Heracross is at least usable, but yeah, I don't. Other than that, the regionals just aren't really that exciting. Do you think we're gonna see that? Is that gonna be something that explodes on Twitter during the week of Catch Cup, that we're gonna have to call out spoofers who are running Tropius that don't live there?
Can we call out people that are running Tauros? Just because.
I mean, if it comes to regionals, the state of Florida would kind of be out of luck, because I think me and my friend mapped it out. The state of Florida by itself has more regionals than any other place in the world.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is honestly awesome. I think that is totally. Yep, that's.
And it's because of where the line goes.
Yeah.
Half the state is Corsola. The top half is Tauros, and then Heracross is in the middle, and then all the other United States regionals that we have are also in Florida. So it's just like we landed in the perfect spot for regionals.
Well, aren't you guys special now?
Well, I'm so lucky to have Tauros, so I'm just.
You're just gonna ride that Tauros train.
I really am. I'm gonna use it. I don't care what people say. Zen Headbutt, here we come. I'm gonna counter all the fighters.
So let's straddle these two conversations, Ethan. With regard to the running Vullaby in Little Cup, also running Pawniard in Little Cup, and to a certain extent running Munchlax in Little Cup. What do you think of that? That was definitely a thing, and certain people were called out with regard to that. I personally think that it's the ultimate gross to do that, but I
So-
know that
so-
some people just don't care.
So I do think it's the big gross to play those, but also I'm not a fan of calling out in any circumstance. So like, sure, they're using the Volpies. You can call them out, yourself, but you don't need to publicly shame. Like that's that's kind of childish. But I do. That doesn't stop me from saying, "Wow, this guy's a try hard. I hope he runs into a million hard counters in the future." That doesn't stop me from saying that. Like I'm gonna say that. Like it's I've had we run into like people that have like Volibee, Poniard, and like something else like Sandshrew on their team, and it's just like okay, like all right, you're just try hard, I guess. That's super cool. Or like Munchlax too, I guess. I haven't seen anyone with like those three on their team, but it's whatever, I guess. If they're gonna be try hard and do that, like props, dude. I guess props to you. Yeah,
nothing you can do.
I'm just gonna sit there and just like wish that I could pull out my Pokédex and register them during the battle. That would be awesome. Because then I'll at least get something out of the battle.
It is my extreme optimistic hope that's the one thing that we get out of Niantic with their selective banning of things like Ammonite is that they will recognize things like this in the future and ban them. That I think that they could do. They could very easily say, this is the cup and here are the rules, and by the way, we're banning. I don't even think they announced that Ammonite was banned. They just did it, and nobody cared except the people who were playing with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it seems like such a low risk thing for them to do, to just be like, yeah, by the way, you're not going to run those things that you have to exploit the game in order to run. But I will say that technically speaking, Munchlax is slightly different than the others because it's possible that somebody actually hatched one and had it from a long time ago and traded for it, as opposed to the others, which literally they would not have existed but for somebody making an alt account and specifically
Trading them over.
hatching these ridiculous 12k eggs that take so much money and effort to do.
If someone has to ask, wow, how can I get one of those? That's usually not a good sign. Yeah. So like, unless they clearly don't know about the Pokemon. Yeah. So there you go. My theory, I'm pulling a little Max here and saying that those same people are probably going to run Mandibuzz and Catch Cup. We'll see if that's true. I feel like it's going to hold up pretty well. So, yeah, that's just how I feel about that. Yeah, I'm going to keep running my Seal.
You're going to run your Little Cup Seal?
Yeah, honestly, my favorite thing in Little Cup is catching Brave Birds on Bronzer and then icy winding the heck out of Volby. I love that so much. I get so much enjoyment out of that. I'm just like, take that, take it.
Oh no,
that's right. I love it so much because then they're like, oh no, my exploit. This Volby's supposed to be super good, and now with the Brave Bird at a Bronzer. Oh dang.
Man,
yeah, that's
I feel
right.
like you've changed since last week. Like the Red Pill episode has brought out
it really has
the
changed
evil
me.
side of Ethan.
That Shadow Ethan is slowly taking over. No, I don't know. I just
happens when I'm gone for 1 week.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
maybe
I
it
know.
is.
We can't be trusted alone. You can't ever do that to us again.
I didn't want to.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm back now. It's just I had to get that out of my system. It's very important. Yeah, it was important.
Oh, so what do you think that there will be something in this meta that's the try hard but not necessarily like gross thing to do? Like, will Galvantula still be that thing where people just run straight meta and they build an extra Galvantula because they're hatching the eggs? Or I don't know.
I feel like Galvantula would be one of those things. Shadow Victory Bell might be one of those things that people do, because I feel like if it comes to Catch Cup, people would sit there and do all the rocket stops, and if they still have a Giovanni left over, just look for the fake Giovannis and just collect the Bellsprouts.
Yeah, that shows how really tuned out I am. Ethan had to explain to me that that's how you get the Shadow Bellsprouts.
Victory Bell.
I never even realized that was the pattern. I thought that you could get them other ways as well. I did get a Shadow Weeping Bell from a completely just a normal one.
Like the
today.
second, it's like the second encounter. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. No, I have a friend that's doing the Bellsprout grind. Yeah, it's definitely a grind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that too. Just a lot of hot takes today.
So the day after the Red Pill episode, they released the Pokemon Go to Home integration, starting at level 40, and they've moved it all the way down. I transferred some stuff over. Did anybody else bother to mess with this feature at all yet?
I haven't looked at it yet.
Have you done it, Ethan?
No.
And I'm gonna guess Alyssa hasn't done it either. I'm guessing she's been too busy to do this. So when you guys see that kind of thing, is it something that's just not interesting to you because you don't need any more Meltans? It's not interesting to you because it's just you only play Go and it seems such a limited thing if you're not paying for it? What is your general impression looking at it, or is it just something you haven't gotten to?
I haven't touched any of my Switch games in months, so it doesn't seem worth it for me.
I haven't played my Switch since I got Luigi's Mansion 3.
And I'm the one who doesn't own a Switch, even though my son does, but I still did. For science.
It's a long time, Ryan. Yeah.
Last time I've touched my Switch was Luigi's Mansion 3 came out.
Yeah. I mean, I want to get back to the sword. I don't even remember what game I have. I think I have Shield. Wait, what?
I have Shield. I think I have Shield. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think I have Shield because Zamazenta is just so much better. I was gonna say Zacian for a second, but yeah, no, Zamazenta is just the best, undisputed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's the best one out of the two.
Man.
Yep. But no, I would love to get back to the Shield grind. I think that it was a lot of fun. And they've added a lot of new features and like storylines. So it would be fun to get back to that. I just haven't yet because of GBL.
Because of being a GBL zombie.
Because of being a GBL zombie, yes, I will admit. So maybe I should go back to it because then I won't be a GBL zombie.
That's right.
I would be a Shield zombie. I'm gonna be a zombie in whatever I'm a zombie in. So I'm not. No, I'm not. That's a joke.
Before I completely forget about GBLs, I think it's worth noting that there is no leaderboard for this season. Part of that because it's only win-based, but as I saw some people who were actually surprised by that it was just like they thought that there would be just kind of a leaderboard that didn't have the ELOs on it, or a leaderboard that maybe just tallied wins. I really don't know what that would look like, but that is another thing to notice. Does anybody have an opinion on that? Do you think that's just a natural consequence of the way they did it, or do you think that it's good, bad, indifferent?
I think it just because it being a 3-week season And with them having the win total so low, they were like, we're just gonna skip on the leaderboard this season, and just make it easier on people.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
I also think it's worth noting. I think this happened after after we recorded last week, which is that Hot Pocket tweeted out that he was grounded. So the number one player in the world is apparently not playing for 2 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see whether he's able to maintain his rank.
He was grounded because of Pokemon?
His dad grounded him because he was failing a class.
So yes, because of school, he lost Pokemon and I believe Discord as well, and tweeted that out.
Didn't lose Twitter though.
Yeah, not Twitter though. That's correct.
Dang, yeah, he didn't lose Twitter at all. It's still kicking on Twitter for sure.
Yep.
But that's interesting. I didn't know he was grounded for that. That's
you should be able to relate to that, Ethan, since being someone who gets your internet taken away for.
I relate, but I've never. I always manage. You got to stay on top of your schoolwork. I'm sure Aiden was, but maybe he was falling behind a little bit because the number one got to his head a little bit. So it's a good little reminder. I think it's a good. It's a good thing. So GBL, Sylph, whatever you do, don't take it too seriously. Have fun. Don't get your internet or anything turned off. And yeah, this is the best thing. That's kind of why I'm not streaming too. Is because of school, because I've been really kind of more focused on school, and GBL is really the only thing I have time for outside of work and school. So, and being on the stream. So,
right. so many and not coaching me. That's one of your
not coaching
your important duties.
That's my role.
I was just
not coach.
The reason that came to mind is I was just reviewing the Sylph leaderboard for the week, and he maintains number one status despite being grounded. But
that's awesome.
We've got Rocinho, V Tenacity, Stone Collection, Not Fan, Luis Taz 12, Jarunja, Jake Does Hurdles, and Bar the Gamer, Derek 24. I thought I saw something from Jake recently that made me think that he'd had a negative experience. So I'm a little surprised.
He did a 6-0, and I think every other tournament he's done so far, he hasn't done as well as he'd like. Right. Because he's been losing that. Like he had one of the London ones, he went 4-3.
Okay.
And he was like, I threw games that I shouldn't have, and he was beating himself up over it.
Okay.
All in all, Jake is just really uber competitive. Uber competitive. So like he beats himself up way more than he should. Kind of like me. So that's
Same.
And Ryan, apparently. So I think we could all relate. But yeah, so that's all we see on Twitter is pretty much just him beating himself up. So yeah, this is awesome that he's number 8. So yeah.
I don't think Alyssa ever beats herself up because she hasn't confessed on stream to crying over losing.
Yes, I have.
I think we all have.
I'm pretty sure the last episode, not the last one because I missed out, but the one before that, we talked about how I cried real tears. Actual tears. I'm trying to be a lot less emotionally invested this season.
Right.
Awesome.
We'll see how that goes.
Factual. I think I agree with that sentiment. Even like it's even on a school standpoint. Like I'm not saying that I'm like slacking or anything, but like I took school and Pokemon Go way too seriously, and I'm just trying to like kind of like it is what it is, and like kind of have that approach, and it's been pretty nice. So yeah, I like that. It's chill vibes. It's nice.
I just want to note this moment in history where Alyssa had to permit the words "he's a mofo" on chat. I think that's historic. Okay.
Oh
It
dang.
was a wholesome sentence. It was fine.
I know. It's just I just looked and it said Alyssa Rose added the term "he's a mofo," and I'm just like, okay then.
Can we clip that in chat? Is there a way to clip chat? That's awesome.
Oh, thank
Very,
you for that moment.
very nice. Yes.
So the other move that was released other than Incinerate was they updated Poison Sting, and everything that I've seen leads me to believe it is going to be underwhelming and not make an immediate impact. Does anybody see a way that it actually is going to work out as being something you're going to want to run in any meta that we're aware of yet?
Not from. I feel like it's one of those things where it falls in the Ember versus Fire Spin. Fire Spin will always be better. Poison Jab will always be better than Poison Sting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Drapion doesn't have access to Poison Jab, so maybe in closed metas, Drapion it'll be
But Drapion also has access to Infestation
right.
when that got buffed.
True. Indeed. Yeah, I had high hopes for Poison Sting, but we shall see. We shall see whether it follows the road of Skull Bash, where it was initially laughed at and then became the indispensable move on Lapras. Yes, but maybe there's some niche that we're not looking at, and it will truly be excellent. I sure don't know what that is though. We were talking about the lucky trades and stuff. Did anybody take full advantage of the temporary trading range increase? Which what was the amount that we were hearing reported that it was somewhere in the range of like 7 miles, somewhere in there?
Last I heard, it was 15 miles.
Oh wow, 15.
And everyone that I wanted to try to trade with lives 17 to 18 miles away. So I'm sitting there going, you're just out of range and I can't get what I need.
Oh,
how
that
convenient. I think probably at 12:59 tomorrow. Well, PST. So I mean, 1 minute before Niantic o'clock, they'll change it to 17, and then
it'll turn off.
And then it'll turn off.
I'm trying to remember how was the actual press release worded? Is it officially turning off at Niantic o'clock?
I think so.
That's
Unless it's earlier. Yeah, I think so.
Increased until November.
Oh, it's
Monday,
earlier.
November 16th at 10 a.m. PST.
Yeah, that's earlier than Niantic o'clock.
One for me.
Yeah, that's not Niantic o'clock.
So I somehow managed to, of all things, not make a special trade on Community Day. I didn't even trade shinies with my wife. I was waiting to try and make a decent trade with one of these. Didn't get one, but I do have a trade lined up at 3:30 in the morning, and I found out that the person I'm trading with, they teach e-learning classes to people in China, so they have to teach at 3:30 in the morning so they can make this trade before it expires. So there's that. At least I get to make one today. I'm taking my chances on a Hurricane Articuno.
Oh
man.
Oh,
good luck.
Yeah. So I don't think that this is huge PvP impact, but they introduced those city spotlight events, which is kind of interesting because they focus them in places that seem to have control over COVID for the most part. And specifically for people like us in the US or just the Americas, the Western Hemisphere, it's pretty notable that it's all kind of APAC region stuff. To me, it's kind of like a shoe on the other foot kind of thing with the promotions that we had last week, where we were complaining, or I was complaining about the way they were executed. I know Alyssa didn't even do them. They were kind of exclusive, but also kind of lackluster. It certainly seems like they're considering moving in the direction of just like a ton of little micro events that not everybody gets. What do you guys think about this kind of trend, and whether you like the idea of like events that you essentially can't get unless you live somewhere else? It's not even traveling anymore because people can't travel to these places.
I'm a little jealous. Got some FOMO.
Is there something on the list of things that they're getting that you're specifically jealous of, or just the fact that they get an event you can't get?
Just the event that I can't get, because this is the third one in like in just as many weeks that I can't do.
Right.
I guess I could have done the Grubhub one, but I was not about to sign up for that and then forget to unsubscribe. So no, and I have AT&T, so I couldn't do the Verizon thing, and obviously we live in America, so can't do this one.
Yeah, you retroactively clearly made the right choice on the Grubhub one. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that New Zealand is getting one and Australia is not, but I guess New Zealand's got things even more under control. The part that I think really is the most potentially controversial, and also not necessarily a pure PvP thing, but it goes back to the conversation we've had about the AR scanning, and they are essentially turning the AR scanning part of the event into a contest. Do you think that is a good, bad kind of? I feel like it's a kind of frightening trend where they could just say, "Oh, we're gonna see how this goes. What do we have to do to make people do the scanning?" And then just get to the point where like the scanning is just like a huge part of the game where everybody has to do it if they want good stuff. Like they're gonna gate Pokemon behind it or something.
I think they're forcing us into it.
Yeah, I feel like they're doing what they normally do and using the Oceania region as a testing ground for it, seeing how it works, and then go back after testing, see how it is, and then release it to everybody when it's the way that they want it.
Right. And I guess they aren't specific about it, but they say there's a special reward for doing these scans. Like, so they don't reveal what it is. I wonder if it could be something that people will truly get FOMO over.
Yeah.
And they are also taking the approach of making it a combination free and paid event. To me, that also feels like they're just kind of following the trend line, and they're trying to quote respond to people's criticisms about the previous events that were lackluster by probably making the lackluster part not cost any money, but make like something cost money that I don't know. I don't know exactly what the dynamic's going to be, but I feel like they're trying to appease people rather than really do anything particularly authentic.
I feel like Niantic at this point is setting a base margin. It's like, oh, hey, we'll set this as a base. If you don't want to pay for anything, it's free, da-da-da-da-da. And then if it's like something else that you may need in the future, they're like, oh, well, you have to pay this amount of money for it. Kind of like when it comes for the Elite TMs for Fast and Charged, you get one or the other at like every 2.5 months with GBL.
Right.
But that's if you get to a certain rank, or you can just pay the $10 for it every community day and get it in a box.
Right.
And some people who don't want to go through the hassle of trying to do GBL just get it in the box, or some people do both.
Yeah, I unfortunately fall squarely in the category of people who do both, but I definitely question that decision sometimes.
As most of the community does, Jiggly. So yeah. I think that's a really good point, Ryan. I think that we should definitely have more options to obtain those features, those items. Like maybe Niantic, like, I know this would be totally anti-Niantic because it doesn't bring in really much profit at all, but if they made it like a super rare spawn from like, or super rare drop from like stops, or like a quest that's super duper rare, you know? Super duper is one of my favorite exclamatories, by the way. But yeah, like a really rare quest or something, then we might have it might just change the whole game of, you know, elite TMing and elite fast TMing and elite charge TMing, like the whole supply and demand thing, because maybe you get one guaranteed every month. Like, let's say there's like a guaranteed quest line that gives you it every single month, and it's not through GBL, like it's not that outlet, it's through, like, we're catering now to the people that don't play GBL and that aren't really interested in PvP, the collectors, because I feel like they're really left out on that aspect, even though they definitely have something to do with it. Like, they're trying to collect all these rare Pokemon with rare movesets, regardless if they're going to use them in PvP or not. And so if we have this like quest line that guarantees you a faster charge TM every month, and let's say it alternates with GBL, like that would be a good balance, I think. But I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever do that. So I'm sorry for proposing that idea. That'll never happen, guys.
Thanks for being the optimist. We appreciate it.
No problem. I love to see what Niantic doesn't do and speak on that. That's my favorite part about this game.
I wanted to make sure that we mentioned the Go Team Up progress. It seems like there's not been so much noteworthy going on. The one thing I will note is that the Helmet Heroes made an exit to the boys Arbok before the round of 32, but that was kind of like I don't know how they structured this exactly. It looks like we got like 42 teams that made it to this, so that's a very strange looking bracket. So only a certain small group of people have been eliminated, but that was the one that stood out to me as being one that was less expected. Anything you guys can think of that is has occurred in the PvP world? I also saw that there was a Zionic had hosted a was it EU versus Iberian Peninsula this weekend. I saw that. I think that the EU dominated pretty heftily, but I don't have the score in front of me. Was there anything you guys were aware of going on in the world of PvP this week other than the things we have talked about?
Not really. I've been doing Sylph stuff, so I haven't been paying attention to anything outside of that for the past couple of weeks.
How you've done? You said this was your third Marsh Cup that you did, right? So are you planning on maxing out at 6, or what are your plans for the rest of the month?
By the time all my cups end, I'll probably be at like 8.
Yeah. And when you do 8, how do you actually like consider at that point that they're not being counted for rank anymore? Do you just do them for fun, or is that just do you somehow manage them in a way where you're able to make that make sense?
So I'm trying not to do much this year, because when Sylph first went remote last year, between Toxic and Voyager, I did well over 50 cups.
I think a lot of people fell in that category. I didn't even come close to that, but I know a lot of people said that was the point where they went crazy.
And I wore myself out for the rest of the season.
I think we all just got excited that we would be able to do as many as we wanted over 2 months, and everything was remote, and all of these big tournaments are going on, and I went a little crazy, but I loved Toxic. I would do a million more of those.
You're so toxic, Alyssa. It's just,
I think that's why it works.
I wasn't a fan of Toxic I wasn't a fan of Forest, but for some reason, I love Marsh Cup.
We shall see.
And
I do my usual of not making a team until last minute, and I actually had made a team with Abhinav of all people, who took down our Midwest region, and then right after that I got my Sableye, and I'm like, that's the whole point of me building a team, was to try and make a team that didn't rely on Sableye, and now I have it. So I just scrapped it and started over. I always find a reason. Pogo Joel, I'm proud of you for not buying this Community Day box. You'll be ashamed to know that I did. I really kind of regret that, but it is.
Do you though?
The fast TM. I mean, I just wish that I would have been in a situation where I could have TM'd my Igglybuff for Little Cup. That it all comes down to that. Like, I have reverse FOMO for that. Like, I wish that I hadn't spent some of the ones that I spent, and so I'm kind of looking forward to a day where somehow or another I manage to need that extra fast TM, and I won't be in that situation again. But I'm probably just giving them money for no good reason.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you for sticking with us the whole time, or not the whole time, but most of the show, Darth and Pokemon Trigger. Sorry that you lost internet there and cut out midway through. I don't know if we acknowledged that on air while I was away, but thank you for joining us as well. Look forward to seeing both of you on the turkey tourney. Hopefully we can get some good community involvement in that, and I'm sure that I, if nothing else, I really love watching the draft stream information and just like watching how people put together teams even more than the battles. So good luck on that, and I hope that you are able to avoid Ludicolo being banned.
Hopefully, but I feel like it's gonna get banned because it's gonna get target banned. It's like, I can ban Ludicolo. I'm gonna ban Ludicolo. Okay, cool.
It's gonna be Trigger's last ban, just to troll.
Oh yeah.
Anything coming up this week for you, Alyssa? I know you've had some travels and sick kids and all sorts of things in life to keep you incredibly busy. Are you doing anything that's planned this week, PvP wise?
No. Quiet week. We have our AR PvP lobby Marsh Cup starting in a few days. So we always do a server wide for everybody. And then we have our original lobby, which is just 65 of us. And we do our tournaments for just that group. So we'll start that in a few days. But other than that, nope, no plans. Quiet week.
All right. And I feel like I talked to Ethan enough to know that he's going to say that he's focusing on school and he's going to be a GBL zombie and he doesn't have any other plans.
Correct.
I'm glad that we're close enough that I understand you like that.
Common ground.
Anything you would like to shout out while you are here? Anything coming up this week that you're looking forward to, Darth?
Besides the draft, I really don't got much going on.
You can since you are now officially a friend of the stream, you could ask us for draft advice, which would probably be incredibly bad because we would all come at it from a completely different perspective, and none of us are probably as good. So maybe Alyssa's is good, but she
No, I'm casual this season.
this season, right?
Well, I've never beat Ethan in a tournament before.
Oh, Ethan can hold that over you.
Yeah.
It's my own tournament. Huh?
Tournament, run into Ethan. Oh well, I lost.
That's
the brick wall that is Ethan.
Ryan's a really good competitor. You're fine, Ryan. I always say you're fine, and then I know you haven't beaten me, but that doesn't mean anything. That literally doesn't mean anything. You're fine. Like,
I'm pretty
good.
sure Ryan's killing it right now.
Ryan is killing it. Like, Yeah,
I
right.
think you only lost like one round, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. So I don't have to say anything because the numbers literally say everything, but they don't say everything about who you are.
That's nice.
There you go.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
What?
Oh, I'm looking. I was trying to decide who to raid, and I Am Chrome PvP's title is literally rank 10 Poniard Little Cup battles.
Mm.
I see.
That's not shouting anybody out. That's them shouting themselves out. Oh my lord. All right. What do you
fine.
say I don't see RSG. Shall we raid London?
Yeah, is that it?
Oh, there's a lot of people on. I'm just trying to figure out who's
Who we doing? I mean London. Yeah, London.
All right, let's roll with London. All right.
Yeah.
Give the love to HM London. And thanks everybody for coming by. Thank you for being on the stream. And I'll see you guys throughout the week. We'll see you next week on the Bellsprouts.
Bye.